What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara. I am Sharif, and as per usual, we're going to wait for the chat to populate before we start shouting out everybody. We already have a couple of people. We got Big Darwin. We got Iris Shaw. Como está? Okay. We got the Chilean Nightmare in there too, baby. The Crazy Stitch Lady, Pitch Bull, Rich Naples, James Dell, Toilet Brush. That's a hell of a name right there. We got D-Loaf. We got Patrick Langlois. We got John19. I like that. Vin's in the chat, baby. We got Igor, as well as Fonzie, no Lambo trade today, Fonzie. T-Money, yo, my guy. What's up, man? And we got a whole bunch of other people. And we got Big Kyle Burdett as well. Wow, what a day it has been on these markets today. I woke up like typically 5:30. I look at my portfolio. Apple's doing nothing. 6 a.m. hits. Bank of America wants that upgrade. Boom, and it hasn't really looked back. Kind of inverse of this Tesla position right now, Adair. Let's talk a little bit about this one before we start talking about mean reversion. Tesla is headed south, guys. We're all out of this trade. We took this short there at 214.25, and we had multiple beak wetters through the break of 211. And sadly, you know, we took out too much too early, and now it's gonna go down without us. But I was in the same camp with Sean. I was looking for that 212 hold, and I was gonna flip long if it bounced off 212, and it did not. And Tesla is headed south. Alfred, I guarantee you, salivating at the mouth right now as he's only $10 away from probably a resting order that he has right there. We'll see what Tesla does at the $10 level. I want to see if Tesla continues to tank beyond that 210 area. It just got to a low of day right now of 210.5. Oh, no, 210 and 2/3. 210.62 technically the low on the day, but it is coming in hot into that support level 1 on the pivots. Tesla absolutely tanking after starting out this morning at that 219.1/3. We've given up about 9 of those dollars as it heads south into 210, guys. So we're going to keep an eye on Tesla. We're going to keep an eye on Apple. I think Adara is going to be looking at Meta because it's also up 2% on the day as it flirts with that $1 trillion valuation again. Some news today coming out of the Meta world that Sheryl Sandberg, one of the originators there back in 2008 when she jumped ship from Google into Meta to help Zucky and his boys. She's going to be leaving the board and looking to focus more on her women's empowerment company that she's created there. I forget the name of it, but anyway, 376.19 is the high up day on Meta, so we're going to be keeping an eye on that as well. I'm just really upset that we took everything out of this trade way too early, but Huadunk Go was the dynamite on this bad boy. All right. Guys, today we're talking about mean reversion trading, and it sounds like there's only kind of like one way to do this. There are multiple ways. Pardon me, Chilean Nightmare? No, just one topic, mean reversion trading. We're going to cover it from a couple of different angles. Sadly, I'll get to the topics in a second, but yeah, sadly I didn't have the topics board. I always forget to do that. But anyway, what is mean reversion trading? Let's start with just a very simple type of definition. The concept of mean reversion is widely used in various financial time series data, including the price. You can look at earnings, you can look at book value, but for our purposes today, we're going to be looking at mean reversion with respect to price, because that's what we're interested in. When an asset's current market price is less than its average past price, it is considered attractive for purchase. Conversely, if the current price is above the average, it is expected to fall. Obviously, this works more in consolidative markets than it does in trending markets, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Traders and investors use mean reversion for timing of their respective trading and investing strategies. So let's understand a little bit about mean reversion before we actually get to some practical examples. Mean reversion is a financial theory that suggests asset prices will eventually return to their long-term mean or average. This concept is grounded in the belief that the asset price and the historical returns will gravitate towards a long-term average over time. The greater the deviation from the mean, the higher the probability that the asset will return to the price in sometime in the future. All right. Its use by traders is fourfold. Okay. So traders are using mean reversion, number one, for statistical analysis. Investors use statistical tools like the Z-score, we're not going to talk too much about that, to measure how far an asset price has deviated from the mean. A Z-score, or a Z-score, whatever you want to call it, above 1.5 or below minus 1.5 might suggest a trading signal opportunity. There's also pairs trading, which is interesting. Here, investors and traders identify two correlated assets. When the price ratio between them deviates from the mean, they go long on the undervalued assets, and then they go short on the overvalued one. So I think maybe, you know, and a good example of this one could have been the deviation that we saw earlier in the year, or sorry, last year from AMD and NVIDIA. AMD wasn't talking anything about AI. They didn't have any AI chips or GPUs that were in the pipeline. Their MI chips we hadn't heard anything about them yet. And NVIDIA was just skyrocketing. And AMD kind of wasn't. So you could have used those two correlated assets to kind of use that strategy. There's also the volatility, and this is the one we're going to talk most about. Some traders use mean reversion in the context of volatility, buying options when the volatility is high with the expectation that it's going to revert back to the mean. And obviously you can use mean reversion as well for risk management, where you can basically set your stop losses, and your take profits, your resting profit takers, can be typically set around the mean to manage potential losses and secure gains. But I really want to stress that one of the main considerations that you have to look at with mean reversion trading is it's more effective around range-bound markets and less effective around trending markets, as you're less likely to, you know, revert back to the mean if there's a strong catalyst that's pushing you to the upside. You can, you know, there's going to be obviously pullbacks from every now and again in a strong market, but not necessarily back to the mean. You're good to go, or you guys are just dealing? Okay. Mean reversion and technical analysis. Some tools that you can use for your mean reversion analysis. Obviously, moving averages, very important one. Traders and investors often use moving averages to identify mean price over a specific period. When the price is above the moving average and over a certain threshold, it may be considered overbought. Conversely, when the price is below the moving average and a certain threshold, it may be considered oversold. Bollinger Bands is another good one to possibly use. Technical analysis indicator, obviously Bollinger Band, we covered that for the week on Bollinger Band, or on, I believe it was channels, the week on channels. It consists, obviously, Bollinger Bands consist of a middle band, which is a simple moving average, and then two outer bands that are one standard deviation away. Prices typically revert back to the middle band. You can use that as well. Relative Strength Index, we talked about this. RSI ranges from 0 to 100, and you're using it to identify overbought and oversold conditions. And RSI above 70 is overbought, below 30 suggests oversold. And then you can use the stochastic oscillator in the MACD as well. But here's the one that I really kind of wanted to share with you guys, and this is the, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. This is the one that I want to share with you guys. So this is a mean reversion trading strategy that's good for swing trading, okay? And essentially there are 4 rules to this particular strategy. What you're looking for here is an instrument, whether it's the futures or whether it's an actual stock. You're looking for something that's above the 200-day moving average. Whether you use EMA or MA, it doesn't really make much of a difference at this point. So you're looking for something, this is a long bias strategy, can also be used for the shorts. But for our purposes, we're talking about the long. You're looking for something above the 200-day moving average. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, you're looking for something that is below the 30 level on the 10-period RSI. So you're going to use the relative strength index and use a 10-period RSI, and you're looking for something that is currently below 30 on the RSI. Then the technique here is to buy on the next day's open and to exit when the 10-period RSI crosses above 40. So you're not going to actually take the meat of the move. Here's an example of that. Let's bring that up over here. Okay, so here is the chart of the S&P, right? The E-mini futures. The black line, as you can see here, is the 200 moving average. And then below, we have the RSI line. Here is where the RSI line dips below 30. And you obviously have a retracement on the S&P or the ES, but it's still above that 200 period EMA. And so the buy would happen the day subsequent. And the only reason is the buy happens the day subsequent is because you need a closing print of below 30 on the RSI. And so to buy on the day subsequent, and you are to sell once the RSI breaks through that 40 level. This isn't my kind of idea. This is owing to Larry Connors and Cesar Alvarez. They came up with this particular strategy. It's one with 70-something% win rate when the market is trending and not consolidating, according to their study. And it is a swing style trade. So hopefully we can kind of ask the NOS boss what he thinks about this kind of the trade. So the rules are as follows. Again, the market is above the 200-day moving average or whatever instrument you're going to purchase. The 10-period RSI comes below that 30 level. You buy on the next day open, and you get out once the RSI breaks through 40. So you're not taking the meat of the move, you're taking a mean reversion move here, and that's what this kind of chart shows. So whether or not you guys want to backtest that possibly in the sim to see if that works out for you, I thought it would be an interesting one because of its objective rules.
Okay, that's really neat. So it's just kind of like using, I remember we talked about indicator week, how there's some indicators like the RSI, like these other oscillators that can kind of tell you when the move might be over, when it might be running out of juice. So it's basically just using that and then entering in a mean reversion kind of way. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, right? So I think that's really cool. I also think it's interesting to think about like how some of these indicators we use are kind of, for lack of a better term, mean reversion-y by nature, right? So it's like what we're kind of talking about here. It's like it's kind of predicting what we might get moving forward, right? So if we see it overbought or oversold, we know how to react. And so I think that's particularly interesting, and I think it's very fascinating that I've never really thought about it this way, that some of these indicators actually do have inherently mean reversion or counter trend-esque kind of tendencies.
Yes,
so I really appreciate you for, thank you so much for going over that one. And I think it's a really interesting look and not something I thought about.
Yeah, and I haven't actually back-tested this particular strategy myself, nor have I tried to actually employ it intraday. That would be something that you guys could kind of do on your own. Maybe, you know, if it works out, let me know. But the whole point here is basically to try to stay away from mean reversion trading during trending markets, because the instrument that you're trading will typically have, go ahead. Ram wants to fix my mic. There we go, okay.
Just move it
A little low, but it doesn't go lower unless I it may not be a PG show anymore. So, you know, whatever. No, but seriously, I really want to stress that mean reversion trades are better in consolidated markets, because when they tend to trend, there is more strength either to the high side or the low side. And so what you're expecting in terms of a mean reversion may not come to fruition. You may get a pullback, but it may not be reverting back to the mean because, well, it's trending. So that by definition, you know, typically means we're moving up or down. So I really want to stress this particular point. I want to also let you guys know that Obi is going to be coming on around 12:15, so in about an hour or so after the Real Deal with Neil. And he's going to be talking about his kind of mean reversion counter trend strategy. Oftentimes you see Obi in short, for example, on Amazon at key levels, despite the fact that Amazon may be up 2% on the day. And that's because he's seeing something there, possibly using average true range and the such. We'll be talking to him when he comes on. So I just want to let you guys know about that. Very simple. It's not, I don't want to call it a simple lesson, but it's straightforward when it comes to its rules. Yeah. We're not really giving you anything novel here. All the indicators that we talked about, whether moving averages, RSI, MACD, we've talked about in the past, so you guys probably well versed with those, and it's just a matter of employing them in different contexts.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's like I didn't even really realize the extent to which we already, like I was saying, how everything does kind of have those mean reversion tendencies anyway, right? And I think it also would be really cool to hear from Obi as someone who this is like kind of what he does. He has the knowledge, and so I think it'll be really cool to kind of hear what he looks for when he gets into these trades, because I think it's something where, and I have this myself, where you want to know like where might the market go, and if you're really well versed in these mean reversion techniques, not that anyone can predict the market, but maybe you can use your experience and knowing what works to kind of figure out a leg up or a way to get in, which I think is really interesting. Also, so I find it interesting too because I guess just something, I'm curious as to like your thoughts on mean reversion just as someone who does momentum trading. And I say that because momentum trading is you're getting in a little bit later or during the full swing of a movement in one direction, right? So I guess how would you say that varies from the mean reversion approach where you're getting involved anticipating it'll go in the opposite direction?
So so essentially here, what you're taking long a stock that's down.
Yeah.
So that's typically not my style. I like to take something long that's going up. I'm just waiting for a pullback on a key level.
Okay.
That's all the difference. So, but I see what you're saying because you're saying, well, Sharif, you don't like to chase a stock. You get it in on a pullback. But I don't wait for it to mean revert. I'm waiting for it to just retrace on a regular move up. You're going to have your zigzags on an inclination, right? Okay. And so that's the part I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to get it on the zag.
Okay.
Right? The little drop part. Whereas this, you're actually basically you're getting a stock that's moving up. Yes, it's trending up above the 200-day.
Yeah.
However, it's coming down below a certain part on the RSI as well as staying above that 200, right? So a little bit of a different look there. Between mean reversion and just trend trading off a key level. But yeah, great question, Adara. One that we definitely need to talk a little bit about more. But I want to mention Tesla here because we are finding support at that $210 and a half level, and now we are moving back into 212. So this is where I got short, and the reason, let me explain this trade, let me explain what I want to do again if we come back into 214 on Tesla. So we got into that 214 level on TSLA, and we found a lot of support because it rocketed right back up to 216.5. And I said to myself, if this one comes back down and breaks 214 again, that'll be the breaking of the support level, and it'll be the making of a lower low and obviously the making of a lower high because we didn't break above that 218.5. So I said, okay, I'm just going to front run this a little bit by a quarter dollar. Got short at 214.25, and then basically, I was expecting to get out the entire position at 212 because I thought there was going to be support at 212 there. Not to be. It broke down, got to 210.5. Now it's making its way back up to 212. If this comes back up to 214 again, I'm going to be looking to short this. Okay? Because this is former area of support, now should act as an area of resistance. So as we see Tesla here now break above that 212 area, I'm going to be watching intently, and I'm going to actually have a notification set up on my platform for that 214. Let's just say 213.75, so we can get the heads up on that move back into 214. But just reiterate, if Tesla comes back into 214, I'm looking to short. The other one people are talking about, DWAC. This was up over 20% again today. At a point is now down to that 9% area there as it comes back into $25. At its high, we got into that 26.5. So multiple green days for DWAC. Let me just show you real quick here the multiple green days. And then maybe we can glean a key level on this bad boy. Here's the daily on DWAC. As you can see, still of an inside day, right? Because yesterday we got up to that $28.70 area, and the low yesterday was around $20. We actually held 20 quite well. Today, the low is 23 and the high is 26.52. So definitely we are being engulfed by the previous day's candle, but it's 3 very strong green days in a row for DWAC as we started off the week at that 17.5 level, and we almost made it up into 29. So DWAC continues to be a possible play in this week, and who knows, with more primary more primary elections, or whatever they're called, the primaries in the States, we may actually have more action from DWAC. Who knows? So I'm going to keep this one on the side chart, but right now it looks like it's coming down below 25.
It's a really good look on DWAC. I'm just eyeing Meta with a skosh of disappointment. I did get involved in this at that 375.50. It was at that point a dip, and we had this higher low. I liked it. We held it really well right after I entered, and then we we kind of continued to hold this for a couple of candles. Once we dipped decisively below that newer low, below that 375, I had to say sayonara. I just tried to get back in. Unfortunately, I missed it. But I'm going to watch what it does at this 375.80. I'm not going to say it's a head and shoulders, but I do think that was kind of, might be a key level. We did kind of get that wick up to about 375.80, and then it rejected down. I was, if the trade had been successful, what I was going to do is I was going to take part of it out at that 375.80, the rest at 376. Just to kind of piece out my profits, saving a piece for the dream. Shout out to Sharif there. But yeah, I think what Meta does at 376 is going to be of interest to me. I might short it back to that 375.50 because I know that is a level. Because I find wherever we go, if we go up, we kind of come back down to it. If we go down, we go back up to it, right? So I think this is going to be a really interesting level. Going to keep an eye on it. And that's just kind of the main thing I've got going on right now, this Meta trade. There's also, I want to talk as well about Eli Lilly.
What's with the audio?
Because she has hit a milli, and I think we need to talk about it. I was talking to Sharif earlier. I was like, oh, we're getting close to a million. We have hit a million. I'm waiting to see here what we do because I don't know if this is going to be long or short. I would take it either direction. I just really find this name to be kind of fun to trade when it's in a range for my style of trading. But if we see a higher high, I'll probably continue to range it long. If we kind of go down here, I'm going to see short, but I'm kind of tempted, honestly, to maybe even just take a teeny tiny position, take it from the 619 to the 621, or piece part of it out along the way around this kind of consolidation area, the 620. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I always like it when names that you like trading are in play. Don't force yourself to trade a name if it's not in play. I will not touch this name if it's under a million now, although I did try to earlier. But now I feel basically, because it's in play, because I like trading it, I'm going to see if there is a trade here. And if I find a trade is valid within my style, I will probably make it happen there.
I want to just talk about our friend.
Dada.
It's a great animation.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're not going to play the data animation today when we got data up 20%, Adara, when are we going to play the data animation? Shout out to Brendo. Good sport. Look, guys, data, nice move up here. Brendo's a man of many animations. And, well, that one was the sheep one. But, yeah, guys, data started off its life today at $1.50. And, yeah, I mean, look, it's not skyrocketing or anything, but up to $1.84, so a 34-penny move. It's holding above VWAP. This one didn't give me pre-market action off which to base my long. Now, you guys know, for my small cap gappers, I have these, kind of my own rules to go with it. It's got to make a pre-market high that's, with decent volume. Here, there was nothing in the pre-market on data. And it's also got to be above VWAP for me to take it long. It's above VWAP. It didn't have any action in the pre-market, so I can't say, oh, it's above that 4 a.m. high where it traded 10 shares. Literally, they traded 20 shares, and then maybe, yeah, there was almost an hour where it traded no shares. So anyway, $1.75 is where VWAP is at right now on DADA. I'll be interested possibly to take a little bit of a bounce off this, but you're gonna have to big boy share this one because we're not getting much in the way of a notional move. It's 34 pennies from the top to the bottom today on this bad boy. So in order to kind of profit off it, you're gonna have to size in quite heavily. Now, it's only done about 9 million shares on the day. It's a dollar name, which is suspect liquidity. Sure, 9 million shares is enough to get in, to get out likely for most of us, but just as an observation here, $1.80 share should be doing a lot more than 9 million in volume, at least by this time of the day, if it's going to be one of these good ones. So a little bit suspicious of the small cap gappers today. Also on my small cap gapper list, Adara, is this other one, NVCR. And let me just find out what the deal is with this NVCR. First and foremost, it's a $1.5 billion market cap, so it's not a small company, okay? It's over $1 billion. It's got a float of 105 million shares. Let's find out what the short float is on that. Let's bring in Trade Ideas, and shout out to the NOS boss and his crew, NVCR. Here we go. The float, not negligible, Adara. 7.17% of that 100 million share float is shorted, so decent. Now, what's the headline on this bad boy? Here it is. Any day now platform. Novel cure rises after FDA accepts pre-market application for cancer treatment. I love to see these kind of headlines. I just only hope that they get seen through fruition. They actually can help some people, but a very noble cause. Always like to champion these ones. Cancer application, FDA accepts. So that's the headline there, and that should be enough for you as a technical trader. Again, this one, I don't want to call it a small capper because it's not, but it's moving up on the day. It didn't give me any pre-market action off which to base my long. It's above VWAP, which is at $14.33. It's knocking on the door of 15 with a 14.98 high. It's trading at 14.92 right now. So very much really looking at those highs on the day, but not fulfilling some of my criteria for the long. The other one I just want to mention real quick here is AGFY. This one was awfully strong in the morning. Adara put this one on the watch list as it rightly deserved that, that addition, but it has V-shaped right back down. So after making that, let's call it a 285 high in the pre, an actual high of day, an official high of day of 280 after the bell, it's now made a low of day of 146 and is just at that 150 level. So nothing for me to do on AGFY, but those are the small cappers that I'm looking at today, Adara.
Yeah, I honestly, like, you mentioned AGFY dying there, and I honestly, at some point, if I ever have time, I'd love to do like some kind of statistical analysis. How many of the small cap gappers that I put on the watch list are actually valid after the market opens? Because a lot of times they aren't, like, they're really valid in the pre-market, and the market opens, and unfortunately they just shoot up to the downside. And that's why Tempest, that 3,000% runner that we had in, I want to say, October, was so significant because A, it ran for a couple days, which is rare for small caps, and B, that thing did not stop running the entire day, right? So I think it's interesting. The more time you spend looking at the market, you notice how these small caps behave in very peculiar ways. And I feel like I've learned a lot too, just sitting next to Sharif as someone who does trade small caps more. I find their behaviors to be very fascinating. But yeah, that AGFY definitely a bit of a rough one there. Also, I want to talk about this Eli Lilly. Like I said, I was interested in that 619. I saw us push above that 619 with the viciousness. Just watching the book here, we kind of coiled up and then sprung out. We're holding it pretty well. If we have this decisive break below this 618.40 area, I will have to say goodbye. But I didn't take too many shares here. I did take enough so I can piece out part at the 619.20 area and the rest out probably just below 619.21. Sharif and I were talking off camera as well about this, and it's interesting about how some of these stocks, you kind of, especially like the Metas and the Teslas and the mega caps of the world, you have to set your outs like at like the 99-cent level instead of the full dollar level sometimes, because sometimes you just won't get filled, right? So I think that's sometimes an interesting take as well. It won't get all the way to a level, and it's something I kind of picked up on and just interesting, and thought I would put that out there. Also, Meta getting into my areas of interest as well over here. Meta pushing, I said I want to see what Meta did at 376. Meta taking 376 now. I have to say, I'm a little disappointed at my point of entry on this one. I know Neil talks about getting in the back end. Obi talks about getting in the backside. I did not do that here in Meta. This would have been a fine point of entry had I done it. You just
have to throw that in there. I love it.
Well, you know, I had to get in a couple candles later there. That would have been the better opportunity. But, you know, congrats to anybody who is in this long. It's a good look. I'm still interested in trading this. We're about to make a new high, or it looks like we already did make a new high a day in Meta. So really good look. And like I said, if we continue rejecting off this 376, I'll keep ranging it. I do not mind scalping. But yeah, so that's kind of the main look here. My Eli Lilly breaking above that 619. a little bit here on the sell side. So I am happy as a clam. That's the one thing too I find with Eli Lilly. I like it as I'm learning to trade because of that you have to watch that spread. I know that the spreads do scare me. They used to scare me a lot, but now I feel like the more you kind of trade, it's kind of another thing to keep an eye on, right? And I still will not trade spready small caps, mind you. But the Netflixes and the Eli Lillys, it kind of teaches you to like be comfortable with a spread. Get comfortable with entry points and exit points. So that's my take there.
Yeah, you gotta get comfortable with spreads on Lilly for sure.
Oh yeah, it was at 50 cents a second ago.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's certainly, and it helps you kind of, like I was mentioning this yesterday too with my scalping, it helps you kind of plan where you're gonna get in, because sometimes on the spreadier stocks, I find it's a little bit more effective if I place my point of entry in between the buy and the ask. Right, so it really depends. That's just kind of my take here. It really depends, but this is my look on Eli Lilly.
I just want to cover a couple of things,
yeah.
Adara. So first and foremost, let's do our daily housekeeping stuff. At 11:30, Fed Bostic will be speaking. So that's 1 minute ago. So possible comments incoming now. We can possibly keep our eye out for market moves here. The NASDAQ is at high day as we knock on the door of 17.1. That's number one. Fed Bostic will be speaking again, according to my calendar here, at 12:05. So possibly two different, what interview speeches, whatever he's going to do there. So one at 11:30, one at 12:05. The other thing we should keep our eye on, these are not that important. 11:30 as well was also the 4-week and the 8-week bill auction, which get 1 out of 3 bulls. That's really not that important. And then at 1 o'clock is going to be the 10-year TIPS auction. So that gets 2 out of 3 bulls. Yesterday we had a 20-year. It really wasn't all that market moving. We'll keep an eye on this 10-year TIPS auction at 1 o'clock. And nothing really else to talk about during market hours. The Fed's balance sheet comes out at 4:30. Maybe you'll catch that with the Katina Man. All right, let's look at TSLA here, because it's making its way up possibly into VWAP, which is now conflating. There's confluence between VWAP and that 214 level that I would like to reinstitute the short at. We had a hell of a short on TSLA this morning for several dollars, like almost $3 here. Almost $4, almost a $4 winner at the bottom there, just almost got to that level. But now it is pumping back up off that 210.5 level, and it's breaking through 212. I'm awfully interested in reshorting Tesla at 214. D-Loaf also telling me in the chat that 214 is where the anchored VWAP from yesterday's, and I asked him what he was using for anchored VWAP, because I don't have anchored VWAP on my platform, and he's using TradingView. So interesting there. So that's one thing I want to mention. The other thing is the Fuge just broke through 17.1. 17,101.5 now, technically the high a day on the NQ March contract, but we're going to do what we typically do at these 100-point levels. We're going to watch for the wicking dance, right, where it dances a little bit above, a little bit below. We're going to see which side of 17.1 the Fuge is going to take, because if it's going to keep wicking from the low side to the high side off 17.1, then we're going to look for a possible short either on the futures or on a Mag 7 name. But if it reclaims, or if it claims 17.1 and then comes back down to it only to bounce off it, we're going to be looking to get long either on the future or on a Mag 7 name. As I look on my side chart, I see that Meta has made a new high of day. Amazon, we're going to have the Amazonian on shortly, and he's going to be talking about Amazon likely. Amazon, new high of day. Apple, awfully close to that 189 level, and I am as pleased as punch, because I hate watching my short-term trades swings go down. It was really annoying, but that's just part of the game. Anyway, yeah, I know. 153.70 now for Amazon as it breaks through that earlier pre-market level that we had at 153.50. Strong day for Amazon, 1 1/3 to the good. As you were mentioning, Meta as well, almost now 2 1/4 Adara as it knocks on the door of that 377. And I was looking at Meta today, man. I was looking at its market cap. Adara, it had a $955 billion market cap in the pre-market this morning. That market cap has now gone to $967 billion. So while you and I had coffee, this one gained $12 billion on its market cap like that.
That is staggering. I have nothing to say except like this phase.
Beauty.
Like that's crazy. Also, I like that you can see where it was at pre-market and where that's really cool.
Yeah. So this one's gained $12 billion while you and I, you know, did the morning show and had a coffee, and I got to eat my 55 eggs. This one gained $12 billion in market cap. No, seriously, guys.
That's nuts.
Yeah, big move.
That's
so
staggering.
we're knocking the door of $1 trillion club again. So this one might join NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft and the like. And the other one at high days Adara right now, Google, as it comes up through 144, awfully strong is Google, and it's coming into resistance level 2 on the pivots. That's the navy blue dotted line here on my chart. Google, awfully strong as well. Softy taking the day off. NVIDIA, it's up nicely, I mean, but it's kind of cooled down its ascent. But great day for some of these names, Meg 7 names.
Yeah, and I'm sure Apple's very happy to say it's not the dead one or the red one. Actually like up like 3%, so go Apple there. Yeah, Google, I was glancing at Google earlier, and
Boeing apparently
you know,
moving.
in a longing way. But yeah, the thing is, I'd really have to Google search for a point of entry in this one. I'm actually not, it's a pun, but I'm also not joking. I like the look of this, but it's like I said, I get kind of nervous getting involved in things high of day. If there's a nice dip opportunity or some consolidation to get involved, I might consider getting involved there, but I don't want to push it there. Boeing, yeah, Mark Susi mentioning Boeing here.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. Boeing flying to the high side here. Oh, this is a really nice look here on Boeing.
Boeing's pumping, guys.
Yeah, so basically, I guess what's happening is Alaska Air has ordered 150 more Boeing 737 MAX, not the 9s, the 10s and the 8200s, no 9s.
It's funny though, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's just like Alaska Air, Boeing, the two culprits in the last little incident, and they're making Boeing rocket up 4%. It's just,
I thought it was real, well, yeah, like Brad and I were talking about it too, because it was like you know, making sure that like which MAX 9s were these, but they are not.
Very good point.
Or sorry, not which MAXs, not the 9s, 10s, 82s, 8200s. But yeah, no, this is a really nice, like I feel like there's good dip opportunities here on Boeing. I might get involved as this one takes off to the upside. I mean, it's already taken off, but if it can, you know, if we can get off the ground running even further, oh yes, plane animation.
Oh, that's the best one.
I like that he's like unshaken.
I never actually
up.
noticed that Sean jumps out of that airplane. I've always fixated on the airplane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like Die Hard.
He's very agile. He says, I can agree. He's agile with his trades, baby. Woo. I gotta love this animation, and the fact that money comes flying out. Sean does a 360 flip. Lane's got a lap coat on. You know, it all works here.
Right, like it looks like he is in like some really cool trading action movie where he had to jump out of a plane and save his money, and I really enjoy that animation. But yeah, Boeing really strong here.
Should we look at Boeing technical so we can figure out where we could possibly find resistance here on Boeing? Let's load up the chart on Boeing as we pump up into the high of days. Let's zoom out a little bit, go to the hourly, find where we could look for where we could find some resistance. All right, so in the pre, before it started tanking again on whatever the 16th was, what was that, Tuesday, right? Tuesday was before we started tanking on Tuesday, we had a 212.5 consolidation kind of level in the pre-market there. I'm going to keep my eye to see if we find resistance around 212.5, kind of a random level, and you know how I suspect pre-market levels as well. So we're going to keep an eye on that. The other level to keep your eye on is that 217.5. That is Friday's closing print at 217.5, and we did a long day of consolidation between, let's just say below VWAP, between 219 and 217, where we ended up at the low end there. So we'll have a look to see if Boeing can kind of smiley face its way back up into that 217, but it'll have to break Tuesday's pre-market action at 212.5 first, and doesn't look like it's stopping. It is at high of days as we speak on BA. Let's go to the 1 minute look over here. Yeah, this one's pumping up, just blew through 211. All sorts of strength. And I got to tell you, the volume's picking up here back into like 10 a.m. levels, right? Midday. So the volume is supporting the ascent here on Boeing. It's not without the requisite volume. So we'll keep an eye on that. Very good move here for BA. 4%. Like, I'm not inclined to chase this whatsoever. But we will be looking possibly to take that rejection short off those levels. The other thing I want to look at is what did we do on the future? So we are, for the moment, rejecting 17.1. We're doing that shimmy wick dance from the south side rather than from the north side. And there go the futures back down about 12 or 13 points as we reject 17.1 for now. Let's see what this does to the market.
Yeah, shimmy wick dance is, I love that one.
Shimmy wick dance.
Well, also too, it's interesting because I feel like I talk about this a lot, but I feel like understanding how the wicks work can really help you understand what levels are. Like if you see something, if you have a candle and then we have like this giant failed wick to the downside, you might, maybe want to get in a long, or if it's the opposite, you might want to get in a short. Like that's not really something I understood until I, kind of talking to everybody here, talking to you and kind of getting that take on that. So what the wicks do does matter. Which I think is really interesting. Not always, it's kind of like pre-market levels in that they're not going to necessarily be the key reason you take a trade, but you can look at them for confluence.
Yes, ma'am.
Which I think is, shout out to Obi who will be coming on soon. We're gonna pump the market for that. But yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting look there, and I think that's something I find cool with regards to candle wicks and how you can find all these other ways to find levels or key areas of importance that aren't necessarily indicators or just stuff you're seeing on the chart. Also, we had our first beak wetter in Eli Lilly. We have taken a dip at the pond, or I guess with Eli Lilly, we've taken a dose. We took a dose. We have another dose coming if we get to 621. I'm kind of worried we might reject off that 620. We made a slightly higher high here, I guess. But we're holding 619.99 really well. So I'm just gonna kind of see how this occurs here. On the topic of wicks, I do like this kind of failed wick to the downside here. Hopefully it materializes, because then we'll see, hey, like sellers did not overwhelm buyers at Eli Lilly at 620. So we shall see what we shall see. I think this is nice look here. Also, someone in the chat saying, I hope AMD goes bankrupt. I guess some people are not enjoying the AMD trade, so let's look at AMD, because that is a statement and a half. Okay, I guess it did. So AMD is an interesting look. So we opened 9:30, we spiked to the upside, then we kind of flew downside with, and this is another example of how, I know wicks are not the lesson of the day, and I'm talking about them like they are, but I just think this is really interesting. We held this sort of top around almost 168 really well. Look at this failed buying here. We tried to buy, sellers overwhelmed buyers, we closed red, the descent continued from there. I will say, of interest to me in terms of levels, I do like this 165 level on AMD should we come back up to it. Why? Because we kind of had this consolidation pre-market. Twice at this 165. Then we had this big candle. We opened, more or less. We jumped off the open at that 165, bounced off of it. Then we had some consolidation there. Again, we can see from these wicks, we had sellers overwhelming buyers. And then our swoop to the downside continued. So I think if we go back up, that will be a level I'm going to keep an eye on. Zach Griffith saying, nailed that short, baby. Congratulations. Very happy for you. There's definitely, I think also too, we talked yesterday, like we were talking about styles every week. I like doing range scalps. I think AMD has some opportunities there, just how we kind of get to a level and then swoop back down. But I will be certainly very wary of these kind of key levels that's been forming. So I like that too with AMD, wherever we seem to have this dip to. So we dip to, at 10:30, we dip to 164. Then we go down. Guess where we come back up to? 164. So basically what I'm saying is, what I'm noticing is where we dip is often where we will rip. So not advice, just my kind of take on the chart here. It's something I would keep in mind if I do get involved in this, how I find like wherever this one ends up dipping, we'll come back to wherever, from whence we ripped.
I gotta laugh at this. I mean, I'm not really promoting this, obviously, but it's just funny because you said I take a dose of Lily, and then Mr. Weed, obviously, in the chat had to chime in on that. I used to take a lot of doses at Grateful Dead concerts. I just, come on, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
But that was funny. Up Candle is not content enough knowing that he took doses. He wants to know, was it the 70s? Was it the 80s? I mean, I don't really know why you want to know that. I'm 45, so early 90s, he says. All right, fair. Cool. Grateful Dead, great band. Guys, NVCR, I got into a tiny position on this one. I'm going to be looking to add, if it dips in, Chile Nightmare, if you're able to, dip into 15. Very small position here, looking for that 15 defend. 15 was a resistance level earlier around 11:20 or so. We ended up breaking it and coming back to it, and it held as a support level. So I'm looking to see if we can continue to make those higher highs and higher lows. If that's the case, I definitely want to add just a smidge above 15, with the out on this being the decided break of 15. So we'll give that a couple of shekels below 15 just to give us ourselves a bit of buffer. There it comes coming back down. So it's probably time for me to set up my trade at 15.05. Let's sit right there on this bad boy. NVCR running up, cancer headline today with the FDA. So that's that's all we really need to know about that. Jose Mercado, can you explain why the potential squeeze on BFRG? I have 200 shares at 326. Can't decide if sell or hold. Now let's have a look at BFRG. This one was on our small cap gapper watch list yesterday. So let's pull it up. BFRG. Did you put that on the watch list yesterday?
It was yesterday.
It was, yeah. So Adara did put that on the watch list yesterday. Let's just quickly zoom out on BFRG quick here and look at what kind of stock it is. All right, so we had our moment in the sun. It looks like in April 2023, it IPO'd, or I don't know how this came to market, direct listing or whatever, back in February of last year. So it's almost been a year or so. The highs there, sub 10, lower highs, lower lows throughout the year. It is a former runner. Look at days like this on July 25th when we shot up about 68% in one day. So it can do these type of moves. We know that it's a former runner. So right now, second day, it is an inside day. We are completely engulfed by yesterday's price action, which took us from that 279 open to that almost 420 high. Shout out to Mr. Weed. Yesterday, just a smidge below 420, 419 or so. Today, we 379 high, 330 low. The pre-market low around 3.25. Let's now look at the 5-minute look. So your entries at 326. Should you buy or hold? Well, what I'm seeing here is higher lows, right? So let's just say the pre-market level at that 330. That was basically a support level because we didn't really break down below 330 all that much in the pre. Okay, so that is a good look there. And then we start putting in higher lows over here where we get off 343. Yeah. So what I'm thinking here, maybe you want to de-risk a little bit in front. I would say hold, not financial advice, but I would say hold for a 370 touch, a 375 touch, de-risk in front of 3.25, 380. Obviously, you have that 1030 pop into the 379. So look to de-risk a little bit, but the higher lows, to me, make it look a little good. But you do also have lower highs, so you are compressing a little bit here. But typically, when you do compress, you resolve in the direction of the trend. And since you're up about 13%, I'd say your odds a little bit better that you end up getting a top end breakout rather than a low end breakdown on BFRG is what we're talking about here, guys. I hope that helps. Thank you, by the way, Jose, for $20 super chat, my man, Jose Mercado, one of the OGs in the chat.
Yeah, thank you very much to you, Jose. Yeah, that is a nice look on Bullfrog. I think it could be a bull flag for Bullfrog.
Uh-oh.
That just came to me and I got too excited. I
wet my beak here on some profits. Adara, let me just let everybody know.
Please do.
So we did pop up into 15.25 and I did wet my beak. Sadly, I didn't get the fill in front of 15 to get a better cost basis on this bad boy. So we're going to have to deal with that 16 print that we've got, but we already de-risked a little bit here through the break of a quarter. Again, this one, a bit of a slow mover. The notional move is there. I mean, we were doing the dance here, sub 13 in the pre, and now we just broke through 15. So it's a good amount of range on NVCR. Guys, this is not a small capper. $1.6 billion market cap. It has an over 100 million share float. I don't expect this to really become parabolic like some of these other small cap gappers. The trade on this one for me will be to try to get a better cost basis on the 15 defend. If it breaks 15 decidedly, and by decidedly I'm going to give it like 5 or 6 pennies, that's the end of the trade for me. It needs to hold that 15 level. It was previous area of resistance, and then it acted as support. If it gives up the ghost there, I don't want any of the smoke.
Yeah, no smoke in this house. But no, that's a really nice look there on that NVCR.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, very cool look there. Willis Addison, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Crushing coin, $125 puts, 124 expiry at 136.53. Money bag emoji. Let's go. Yeah, so a couple of people asking about coin in the chat too. So this was very perfect, beauteous timing here. Thank you, Willis Addison. Also, Shun Moon saying, thanks, Mr. Sharif.
Shun Moon.
Which I think, that's great. Thank
and we
you,
just
Shun
got
Moon.
another print Adara on NVCR as it now pops into 1530. I'm so upset that we weren't able to get that dip trade at the 15. Here goes NVCR now. It is clearing that $0.25 level. It is coming into a third. Let's see what it does at the $0.50 level. I'm talking about NVCR. Sorry to interrupt you, Adara, up 23%.
No, it's okay. I mean, congratulations. That's a fabulous look. And I think too, like just watching kind of the small cap trades this week in light of what we were talking about with momentum trading, it's cool kind of how I can more understand how you get in on stocks like that, right? Because it's like you have the higher highs and you have like evidence that is going to keep going. Right, even though some of these small caps, they will kind of, quit on you, right? They'll say, oh, you thought I was going to be moving. Actually, no, I'm moving to the downside now. So I think it's really cool, and I think it's given me a greater appreciation and understanding. I think, and hopefully everyone kind of understands better, your own trading style and other people's trading styles through that kind of the conversations this week. But I mean, I do want to look at coin here. Looks like obviously we know what I look for. I'm going to be interested in this 130.40 area because that was where near our low of day where we had that nice pop to the upside after that point, right? So I'm going to be very interested in that level. We've kind of just been steadily going to the downside, I have to say, intraday here. Another level of interest too, if we do pop back up just below that 134. Because we had that's where we kind of moved to the downside right before the open. Then when we come back up, we consolidate around here for a little bit. Then we pop back to the upside, fly back down. So I do think 134 and 130 are going to absolutely be my my levels. So let's look at daily. Also, Saad Mahmood saying intraday trend trading is so good if you're patient and have good stock selection. Yeah, thank you for going over that. And I think like the patience is a key. You're always talking about packing the patience. Now it's like I understand, right? Because like these stocks, like the setup can be great, but you just have to wait for them to make that big move.
I just want to let you know something that like when I first started trading, like I was paper hand extraordinaire.
Okay.
Like I get something and it'd be like a 10 penny, 15 penny winner, and I just like profit, you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
And then you just like, you end up just becoming disassociated. Remember what I told you Alfred told me?
Yeah.
You gotta be dead inside. Right? And
Yeah.
I hate to put it so crudely because I don't want to be dead inside. I want to have emotions for my family and my friends and stuff like that. But when it comes to trading, you literally have to like feel less.
Yeah, because
You know what
it's
I
like
mean?
if you feel more, then you'll feel your losses more. And then when you feel your wins more, I guess you're like, you're dissociated in a way because you're not focused on the actual like mechanics of what got you there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right? Because your emotions, like there's a really sick saying in The Godfather.
Okay.
So before Michael Corleone was the Godfather, his brother was the Don. It went by the name of Sonny.
Yeah,
but
okay.
that dude, he was just an angry guy. He reacted, he was emotional. And one thing Michael always said about his brother, he was a great guy, but his anger clouded his judgment. And your emotions cloud your judgment.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things that I've taken from trading. Emotions cloud judgment.
Yeah, that's a really good point. No, honestly, like a really, as strange of a movie as analogy that is, that's very apt.
No, Neil so aptly put it. You may not end up with the same fate. You take an L here, you get shot up at the toll booth, which is what happened to Sonny Corleone in The Godfather, obviously. But yeah, a little bit different there.
Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting analogy because like Michael Corleone as a character is unfortunately successful, but it's because he kind of doesn't kind of more dead inside, right? So I think it kind of a deeper take, but I think an interesting one, and thank you for that analogy.
Absolutely. As
someone who has seen The Godfather. But I like look at this level on coin though, I have to say. I'm just looking at this in the intraday. I got excited here. This 130 area that I identified in the intraday on the daily chart as well could be interesting because look, we closed there, then we opened there, then we kind of continued consolidating around there. Now we're closing back to this area. And look where we bounced off of not once but twice.
Yes, ma'am.
This 130, 130, 131 area. So I think that it is a really interesting look. Also, Willis Addison saying, let's go coin. Yeah, I mean, congrats to you once again. Thank you so much again for your super chat. I will say, though, people looking at coin, I do find that 130 level to be a skosh interesting. And again, not advice, just something I would personally be keeping my eye on because, like, I just think when a level presents itself enough times, this is something I remember Neil saying, if a level like makes itself clear to you, don't ignore it. You know what I mean? You don't have to interact with it, but you like don't ignore it. And I think he said that once in like relation to Eli Lilly, and it's something I really took to heart. Not just because it was Eli Lilly, but I think that this is a really interesting look on coin. This 130 at 131 seems to be pretty key. Also, Eli Lilly, unfortunately, speaking of paper handing, I probably, what I should have done with this trade is should have taken everything out where I took it out. Instead, I kept a piece for the dream, and then the dream became a nightmare a little bit. Didn't lose too much on this trade. It ended up being more or less even, and again, that's why I feel very grateful to be in the sim, to be learning and growing. First dose went successfully. Second dose, unfortunately, did not. But that's okay. I'm going to keep looking for potential, kind of opportunities. Maybe not in this stock, but in other stocks to kind of see what's happening here. Meta still, like I said, I like Meta dip and range. Yeah, Pampin is right for I can't say it that way. You have like that really unique.
You tried. I like that. I like it. Yes, Adara, I like it. AJ, great little comment from AJ. I'm a psychologist, perfectly natural, and can be considered a strength to use your non-emotional part when trading. Very interesting take there. Thank you for that, AJ. Zion Lala. Thoughts on shorting AMD as it's trending downwards. We'll have a look at that one in a second, Mr. Lala. The Piper, maybe you can do something on paper hands in teaching. I need lessons. I lost on every one of the sticky note plays earlier. Interesting. Okay, thank you for that suggestion. I think that that's absolutely appropriate, that we should talk about, paper handing trades and the emotions. I don't think you're going to really like what I have to say, because it's what I've said before, and it's reps, and more reps. Practice, and practice. Screen time. I mean, I can only tell you like why I've become so a little bit disassociated from the trades. But let's look at NVCR here, Adara, if we can for a second, because it just broke through the $half level. We've got 5 beak wetters. Now we're out of half the position on NVCR here as it continues to trend up ever so slowly. It is not trading like a small cap gapper, but the up and to the right move is awfully, similar to what we see with small cap gappers. 25% to the good now. We have cleared that $half, I believe, on a closing basis. Yes, I see 51s here show up on my tape, but whether or not we can sustain a move above 50, we'll have to wait and see. I often have these $half, whole dollar levels as areas of psychological resistance and support. Should they make their way up there, and here we are on NVCR. I don't think the same trading plan for me continues to apply now as it did when this one was trading at 15.16, right? Here we go. Wow, look at NVCR. Ooh. Pop to the, what did I just do? Pop to the high side there. Let's see if we can get a print at 59s. We just popped into 60s. There's the print. NVCR is really moving here now, guys. Up about almost 50 pennies from where we got in. 25.5% to the good. NVCR continued to pump. What I was trying to say is I don't think I have the same plan here, because my original plan was to wait for a possible dip into 15, get a better cost base, and that's the baby blue line that you guys are seeing there. That's my resting order that I've continued to have in and around that level, obviously out of 60% of the position now, and so that won't apply anymore. Now the question is going to be where my trailing stop will be. Wow, look at NVCR. Here we're gonna put an out at 69 because, well, what's life without women, right? And yeah, so we're just gonna leave that. We're gonna put one at 69 there. We'll see if that bad boy gets filled. We just printed 66s on NVCR. It's called NovoCure, by the way, guys, and it's done not that much volume. 2.75, no, that's the, 1 second here. NVCR has done, 2.75 million shares on the day. Ooh. So this one for $15 name and at 12 o'clock hasn't done that much shares. Let's just be real about it. 200 million is not, 2.75 is not that much. Yeah. So let's look at AMD because I think Zion Lala wanted us to look at AMD. So let's pop up AMD over here. And we're going to get rid of, who are we going to get rid of? AGFY, because it's kind of giving up the ghost there.
Bye-bye, AGFY.
Yeah. Bye-bye, AGFY. Bye-bye, Mr. American Pie. Yeah, we have no Yeah, we sing on this show, so it's all
Songs
good.
will be sung.
Oh yeah, clearly. Despite to the chagrin of many in the chat. Guys, okay, we'll
I
have to
saw that in the
digress for a
chat.
second because Neil wants me to look at Spirit. Apparently Spirit is easiest short ever,
Then Neil posted
says.
in the chat too. Thank you so much for posting this. Airlines explores restructuring options. Oh, sorry.
We don't have free locates on this Adara for anybody using P-Pro 8 on Day Trade the World. We don't have. This just tanked, Neil. What the hell is going on? We were at $5.30. This tanked almost $1. Went down to $4.51, I believe. It's exploring restructuring options. Thank you for that, Neil. Well, let's be honest about it. I think a few days ago, Neil was like, this stock may be a going concern, right? They may not be in business for that much longer. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Guys, the market cap of Spirit now is $520 million. The buyout price by JetBlue was $3.8 billion. Okay? So, yeah, that's crazy time. But anyway, so this one tanking down, guys, finding some support at the 4.5, but news of it exploring restructuring options coming to light, and it's tanking off that Adara. Yeah,
no, that's certainly a look. Gatekeeper saying rough landing like they're planes. Whew. But yeah, I mean, not inaccurate. That's hot fire there.
Not inaccurate.
Also, thank you so much to Easy for All Shoppers for the $1.99 super chat. Just a great job from you guys every day. Praying hand emoji. I mean, thank you so much. Like, as we all say, like, we do it for people in the chat, and hopefully there's some value there.
Yeah.
And we like being here, and we like trying to do what we can to shed some light on these crazy markets. Also, Apple kind of doing a thing over here, for lack of a better term. A lower high. I don't want to short Apple. It's up 3% in the day, but I'll put it this way. I want to see what we do once we kind of make a lower low, a decisively lower low. If we have somewhat of a trend movement, I might trade that channel. We shall see what happens here, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. Also, Hut 8. I know I usually don't look at these crypto-ish names, but Hut 8 had a short report coming out from Capital Research saying the coming Hut pump and dump. Management hiding stock ownership through undisclosed related party, a stock promoter cabal, and a host of left for dead assets.
Holy cow.
So, and Hut reacted. We're down.
That was a mouthful there. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to read, but also,
as a writer, you must have appreciated that writing.
I do. Cabal.
We're gonna send it to Neil in 1 second. Yeah. Ram just gave me the go. But how did you write this weekend?
I did some writing. Thank you. It went well. Even yesterday, I did a little bit of I guess like process, like coming up with ideas for, we're talking about a potential trading show, so that might be something down the pipeline for me just to keep in my back pocket.
Right down your alley. That'd be interesting. All right, guys, the real deal with Neil is ready to go. Take it over.
Let's kick it to the real deal today. What are we talking about? Mean reversion. And I want to talk about one specific thing to look for when attempting a mean reversion trade, a pullback trade, short off the top, buy the dip, all those good things. Why do we care about mean reversion? It's not just in sports when a team goes 10-1 to start the year and then they revert back to who they are and lose 6 of their next 7 and then disastrous playoff game. That's not what it's all about, Philly fans. It's also in trading. When a stock gets too far up too fast, it tends to have people taking profits and then gets back to a more reasonable price. You can call it a pullback. You can call it, people go dip buying. But when you're trading a mean revert, you're not trying to buy the dip in the trend. You're not trying to short the pop in a flush. You're attempting to actually catch the bottom and go long or catch that short off the top. And I think it's a very careful thing here because if you're attempting a mean reversion trade, you are essentially you're looking to be selling highs and buying lows. That can be dangerous because you're going against the trend. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You just have to have a plan of action. So, the first thing I always tell people when looking for some kind of a big, massive mean reversion trade is if it looks boring, I'm not messing with it. And what does that mean? If a stock's move is linear, like 45 degrees up, then I don't want to mess around with it. I want something overextended for a pullback. I want something falling too far too fast for a dip. I'm going to use the most obvious example here today because, I mean, this is going to be exactly what I was talking about with Rivian in the last couple of days. Now, you look at the open drops on this stock, and you look at when it makes a low later in the day. Now, this is a very general move to the downside with a very slow recovery trade. If you are looking to catch a top and a bottom, I would much rather go against the grain where the risk to reward is going to be good. That's the first thing. So if it's overextended and it's a big move quickly to the downside, I'd much rather be taking a shot if it sets up there. The second thing you need to have is a plan of action. You cannot just assume you're going to sit on the bid. When a stock is moving that rapidly, my favorite way to get in is not saying, hey, let's go long at 16 because 16 is a round number. Wrong. When it's falling like that, I want people that are looking to short 16 to have their dreams come true, breaks underneath 16, doesn't continue any further, grab it on the way back up. Suddenly you're long at 16 with a risk to the bottom at 1593 in this particular case, and you're getting the move into the upside on up to VWAP. So the first thing is, the more parabolic it's going, the crazier the move, the more I like a false break on in the other direction. False break at the high, false break at the low for the long. That sets you up. And then from here, I'll tell you, I always look to have a bit of a target for these. If it's an early morning move, you heard me say it a million times, you watch this in the morning, I'm looking for a push into VWAP. I'm scalping it into VWAP. I might hold some for the dream and then be willing to get out or reverse and all that good stuff, but it's a scalp into VWAP. I like to have a target because remember, if you are doing an extreme mean revert trade, which is a short the high, buy the low, you are going against the trend. You're not just going against any trend, you're going against a big trend in the other direction. That's the idea behind the trade. You're looking to catch that top. The other thing that you should be considering when you do a mean reversion trade is put yourself in the shoes of the buyers if you're selling or the sellers if you're buying. That's the other point. I'll give you a bonus point here because if you were looking to short, say something like ARM, which I know made a big move, 71 to 75, I know because I was in it. When it got to that 75 resistance, if you're looking for the short, the other thing you can do here is think like the longs are thinking. This moves 2 moves to the upside, higher lows, but then it puts in a lower high. Anybody that's in that long does not want to see a lower high. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can get in on that first move, maybe you want it in front of 75, or you allow it to show you that secondary level. It's already given you top to VWAP. Now you get a lower high into VWAP. So you can get that first spike play, which I like the false break. If it breaks the high and then you get the reversion because you've trapped some people that have gone long through the high of the day, or if it breaks the low, some people have gone short through the low of the day, all the better. But if you don't take that trade, the other type of mean revert is seeing an obvious top, then seeing a lower high where you can work off that top and then get your target right back in, because the longs are thinking what I was thinking long. Bounce off VWAP doesn't make the higher low. I want to be getting out of dodge and waiting for it to get to VWAP again where you try it again and then it works down. So that's 2 ways that you can play a mean reversion trade. I don't think you'll want them to be boring when you're looking for that mean revert. And ultimately, I still would say the trend is your friend. You know, in some cases, it's great to be able to catch a top short or catch a long at the absolute bottom. But remember, in the general sense, the trend is going to be your friend. There's something you want to have in your toolbox for these pullback trades or these dip buys. But at the end of the day, it's not a stock or it's not a trade that you want to fight. If you're playing that reversion, it's supposed to get there, get in, and work right away. I don't want to see fighting around at these levels. If Rivian had not worked right away, you got to be able to get a dodge. You want that spike back up. It's like it refuses, traps the short, and then starts to work immediately. If it's not working immediately, then you didn't catch a bottom. And you got to be able to accept that really fast, especially in these kinds of moving markets. So that's the real deal. And there are plenty of moves as the market's falling in right now as we speak. Hey, the trend ended up being your friend. But if you can catch that quick move in the revert, you got to know what to look for. False breaks, higher lows, lower highs if you're patient. But as always, make sure you back test your trades. Be patient with your entries. it's better to, you got to be willing to miss the trade to make the trade. And that's especially true when it comes to this going against the grain.
Much, Neil, as insightful as always. Always appreciate that input, my man. Guys, Obe's setting up at the moment, but I really need to talk about this NVCR trade. Unreal. Unreal. Guys, look at this. Move down into 15. This is why, oh my goodness, I had that resting order at 15 and change to reload and get a better cost basis. It literally, as Sean's kids like to say, literally came down to 15, held 15 to the penny, and then rocketed back up 50 pennies in the time that it took to move like dollars previously. Look at this quick move from 15 all the way to 1560 in like a quick heartbeat right now, below 50, but NVC are awfully strong. And I'm really lamenting having taken my resting order for better cost basis at that 15 area as it moves right back up into that 25 penny area there. I didn't get filled, sad, because I took it off. Being the genius that I am, I removed it there, but yeah. That's a mistake on my part, definitely. And the other thing I have to mention, the NQ is now ranging 100 points. We just rejected off 17.102 and a quarter, so 17.1. We did the wick dance, the little shimmy wick dance with 17.1. Rejected it because we did the wick dance from the south side, right? And now we're knocking on the door of 17,000. We're just a smidge above that. So do we do the wick dance from the north side to the south side with 17, bounce off 17, and then continue to trend up? What I didn't like about this market retracement is that we broke below 17.0 and a quarter, which was the previous low over here. And it was kind of like a VWAP hold on the NQ March contract. We didn't hold up the higher low, higher high trend, so now we're going to have to look at whether or not we can bounce off the 100-point psychological support level that we're awfully close to, about 8 points off right now as we continue to trend down here on the future. I'm not going to be punching long just because we're at 17,000. I need to see definite areas of support being established there by the kind of the wicking dance that we gleefully called the wicking dance, but it's essentially a tug of war between buyers and sellers at that area, right? So it's a supply-demand thing at the 100-point level. We'll have to wait and see whether it holds. We're awfully close to touching 17,000 if we didn't already. What's the low of this candle? 17,003. Let me know when you're ready, brother. Oh, you are?
What's that?
You are ready already?
Yeah.
The Kenobi is quick with it. He is quick with it. Obi, thank you for being on very much, my friend. Always appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So, as you know, I give you the heads up. We're doing mean reversion trading today. I kind of explained the ABCs of it, but you have a tried and true way that you implement on a daily basis that as much as you can disclose to us.
I'll give my 2 cents. Here's the thing. Like I said, again, I'm still kind of learning, and I've been listening to what the lesson has been today and everything. So I'm just here to give my personal perspective on how I see reversion, mean reversion trades, and just kind of how I guess think about and visualize that type of mechanic kind of playing out in the market. So it's just like there's a lot. I think you guys covered it pretty well. You guys talked about how a lot of indicators inherently have a little bit of mean reversion within them, and a lot of opportunity to kind of extract that inefficiency from the markets here. So how I like to think about it is, I'll give you an example right now. I just took a little bit of a short on Google back at my desk, looking for that mean reversion. We can see that Google is kind of washing in and around VWAP. We can see that there's a key level. If you look left, it's been rejected off that 144 and some change pretty aggressively, and some strong sellers up here at that 145 as well. So it's like, all right, so there's some selling pressure in that area, or there was some selling pressure in that area, and you can see, look at this strong, very strong trend. As you say, the market was quite strong in between around 10 10 to 11ish here. So I'm looking at that strength. I'm like, all right, okay. This is overextended. We talk about like overbought and oversold conditions when you're talking about mean reversion. So what basically the idea is, how I look at it is like, if you look at VWAP as a bit of like an anchoring point, right? So I'll start off with this, and then I'll get a little more detailed on like how I view it. So it's like VWAP is kind of like an anchoring point. We can see that it's respecting VWAP a little bit, but it's washing VWAP. It's recycling VWAP. It's magneting back to VWAP there. So how I sometimes like to think about it is like a little rubber band. Right?
He brought a rubber band.
No, I picked one up off the. It's not a. So it's like say that you have VWAP here, right? Say that this is VWAP or whatever. This is VWAP, right? And then this is your price. So price, if it's mean reverting, it can go above, it can go below, but it's think of the rubber band getting like stretched, right? So if stretching below, that's your sell pressure. The pressure gets harder and harder and harder, and you're like, oh, this is going a little too far. This is going a little too hard. And that rubber band, when that pressure kind of releases, when that sell pressure kind of releases and lets go, and you've observed that it's like, oh, it's respecting a mean, it's respecting a VWAP, take a gander at what might happen.
It's going to rock it up.
Not necessarily rock it up, but it's going to kind of make its way back up to the mean. So it's like, all right. So if you can understand that kind of concept, I was really excited
for you to let go of that elastic.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the elasticity in the move is a little bit stronger. So you can have different kinds of rubber bands. So when it comes to this example right here that I'm giving for Google, I'm just patiently waiting for that trend to break, looking for a reversion back down towards VWAP, because we know that VWAP has been holding quite well. It's been interacting with VWAP multiple times, and so it's just like when this buying pressure kind of subsides, right? And I'm getting that confluence. So it's like you can put up an oscillator at the bottom. You can put up an RSI. You can put whatever. But here's the thing. Just my personal opinion, you do not want to take entries if an RSI is oversold or overbought. There has to be a lot of confluence, and it's just a guide. Right? It's just like any other, it's like a line on the chart, right? It's like, okay, well, we're coming into an area where we've seen some supply before. We've been rocketing up since 10 o'clock. This has only caught a bid for an hour and a half into 11. So as soon as that trend breaks, I'm looking for that reversion back down into VWAP. So I did take a quick scalp on the break back below this 44, back down in for the VWAP, and we got a little bit of a VWAP test here. So nice. Another name that I kind of wanted to point out. Now here, this is in a strong trend, right? In a strong trend, you have to be a little wary. Reversions are best, are best kind of seen in something that's range bound.
That's what I said earlier on. Consolidated markets have the best mean reversion trades.
It's beautiful. So like a beautiful range-bound ticker over the past few days has been T-Mobile. Okay. Right? If you take a look at T-Mobile here, take a look at this distinct kind of a range here. If we just point out, let's say horizontal ray right there. So upper end of the range, you can see that it's around that 64 mark. Lower end of the range, you can see that it's around that 62 mark, and you can say that there's a little bit of a mean right in the middle of that range right there as well. So you can see over the past few days, now sure, you violated the range, but while it was within that range, you can see that it kind of magnets to that center point, that mean of that price action. So you can kind of see this kind of behavior there. There's up here, this is where that selling pressure kind of gets heavy. This is where that selling pressure subsides near that 162 and then switches hands with the buying pressure there. And then you get that little bit of that nice, healthy wave-like action of price.
That looks like one standard deviation away from the middle line. Was that done by design?
Here's the thing: standard deviations are a perfect example of an indicator that uses mean as a mean reversion as a concept, right? You can see a VWAP with Bollinger Bands. You have things like that, but yeah, very similar kind of concept. It comes into the extremes and then it reverts right back in. But here's the thing, confluence is key. You can't just be like, it's right there at the price, so I want to get long at 162s, right? You want to have the key level. You want to see that pressure, that tape change at your price, right? So you want to see the exchange of hands. It's like, okay, I saw it coming down. There was selling pressure. Oh, the bids are actually are kind of strengthening. The bids are
Right.
firming up. Now it looks distinctly different. The tape is going to look distinctly different when something's trending down versus trending up. So you're looking for that change in that tape for those buyers to really show up near a support level or sellers to really show up near that resistance level in a range, and then you can take that trade for a revisit of the mean right there, right? So it's just like making sure that like you're not saying like, oh, this has just gone too far. Oh, there's no way it can go further. That's really easy to do. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's like if you're trading based off of, oh, this can't go any further, this has gone too far, this is overextended, that's more of an impulsive trade. But if you can say that and then confluence that with, oh, this is a key level, I'm seeing change on the tape, I'm observing buyers and sellers exchange pressure, exchange hands, and then now the tape is looking distinctly different from the other direction that we just came from, and then you can take that counter. Again, it's a type of counter trend trade, right?
Yep.
It's kind of it is kind of a counter trend trade, and then you can take that with confluence with different factors, and then you obviously want to be back testing that, like how long of a range does it hold, how well do ranges respect, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's kind of a quick gist of how I view mean reversion, just as a personal opinion.
Fantastic, man, and I really do appreciate you articulating that so clearly. I just have a few questions for you, some follow-up questions. So, with respect to any indicators that you could employ, like a lot of what we talk about on the learning show is the balance of the evidence. A, B, and C are pointing up, and then a couple of other letters are pointing downward. And we take basically what's like the Libra scale. Which one is tilting to the right or to the left, and then you kind of base your trades on the weight of the evidence. So clearly, you're focusing a lot on price action, right?
Oh, of course. Price action is king.
It's king, and I agree with you. Are there any other, indicators that you employ to kind of help you with mean reversion, or is it strictly price action?
Sure. Like price action, like you can be off of price action. For example, something that I am kind of looking for a potential reversion is this save news that just came out. You can see a little bit oversold, right? You have an unusual reaction to an intraday catalyst, right? Sure. So if this price action, again, if sellers are aggressive, again, it only takes one participant, but if sellers are aggressive, this can continue further down.
Sure.
But if you're looking for that reversion, you can see that this sold off quite aggressively, kind of consolidating, and then maybe potentially you have some areas to some defined levels to risk off of for a potential pushback into VWAP. Right. But for like a moving average, right? Let me take. I'll take VWAP off my chart here, and we'll just put any sort of moving average right here. So, all right. So sure, an exponential moving average. Is that the 9? That is the 9. Okay, so something we can talk about Amazon, right? We can talk about Amazon. Oh boy, what is that right there? Okay, so let me just put that away. So okay, so similar kind of thing here. Now we saw a trend similar to this on Google, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
if I want to take the long, kind of risking, okay, it's holding this trend, it's holding the 9 EMA here, and you can see every time it acts a little bit like a magnet, so it's reverting back down and holding that 9 as a bit of support. So of course it's not clean, it's messy, and like that's up to your discretion how you want to really kind of participate in that. But you can see it kind of reverts when it holds a moving average, right?
Sure.
You can kind of see the magnet going into that average right here. So now that breaks, we're kind of magneting back in
the
towards
exact opposite way.
So yeah, exactly. So it's like you can look for that mean reversion or that reversion of price to a level where like, okay, it is an average, right? And the moving average is a decent indicator to kind of indicate trends.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So it's like that's kind of the perspective there. So many different ways. Again, I'm not covering it all. I'm not doing it justice at all. But yeah, many different ways you can use the concept of mean reversion with confluence in your trading. I'm finding.
Yeah, you know how we do around here. Anytime confluence is said, we hit the bank. ATR is another average true range for those that are new. Is another one of your faves. Am I doing that justice?
I like ATR,
How do you incorporate ATR into your mean reversion strategy?
Yeah, sometimes I'm observing like it's very rare that tickers do multiples of ATR in the first few minutes, in the first half hour, or anything like that. So if something is moving unusually in that sense, you can be like, oh, this is moving a little unusual. Is this price action sustainable? That's the first question that I'm asking, right?
Fair.
If it's unsustainable, then you're more likely to have people caught offside, which makes that mean reversion probability even higher, right?
I like it.
So it's like if you're catching people offside, if the move is a little too far in terms of a statistical range, then yeah, you can look for, again, with that confluence, you can look for that tape to change, you can look for those key levels, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, no, ATR, I definitely like to nuance the trades with the ATR for sure.
Okay, fantastic. And so any just tips for newer traders who are trying to maybe learn, not incorporate, because you should probably be learning this before you incorporate it, mean reversion trading, anything that you could give to people, some ABCs? That
I got one word.
Wet their beak with. Go.
I got one word, confluence. Make sure you have a confluence. Like if you can't just, again, like I said, it's impulsive to just be like, oh, this can't go up any higher, this has gone too far, et cetera, et cetera. But if you have confluence of different factors kind of giving you a little bit of direction, I think that's always a little bit better there.
I appreciate that, man. Ob, one Kanob. We don't want to hold you back because I know that you were trading back there and you were nice enough to come up and
There's always the
give
next
us your
trade.
time. They're always the next trade. Yeah, I know that's one of your favorite sayings too. And you and I haven't been on the show together in a while, so I do appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for that, Obi. If you want to add anything before we let you go, you're good to go.
I'm good. Good luck with the rest of your day, guys. Happy
all right,
trading.
guys. Thank you. Appreciate that. Obi, all right, guys. Let's have a look right now at the future because we're right back down at 17,000. And we've got a couple of bounces off the 17,000 area. We're doing the wick dance, but we're doing it from north to south. So I'm very interested here, possibly entering this level. Obviously, you could have had a better level because you got down into 17,000. In fact, we got a little bit below it. Let's be real. We got to the latest dip. We got to 16,990. So we were about 40 points south of where we are right now. A bit of a double bottom, albeit on the 1 minute chart. So be careful, charting on the 1 minute, especially the future. But there is definitely some support at that 17,000 level on the NQ March contract. If you're less inclined to want to get in right now, you could wait for the breakout through that 17.0 and a third, but it looks like there is some strength coming in right now on the future. We'll see if it's sustainable or whether we get these lower highs and a flat bottom break through 17,000. We'll have to pack our patience and see what we get on that. Yeah, the shimmy wicking says synth pop boy. I like that, synth pop boy. Yeah, it's a good look there. All right. I'm going to keep my eye on the future because very interested here. Now, the other one, NVCR. Again, this is a problem of my own making. I was really interested in re-upping or refilling my order at $15 on NVCR. It gave me a couple opportunities. I know Sad tagged me in the chat. He said, look, you might get your second shot at 15 on NVCR. It looks like I did, but I was looking at the OB. I was trying to concentrate on what he was saying, so I wasn't able to focus on this trade, and that's my problem. But it looks like as if we're putting a bit of a compression pattern here. And the trend that precedes this compression pattern is obviously an uptrend because we're 25% to the good. We're putting in higher lows, but we also put in lower highs in. So that's where the compression is coming in. That's obviously easy to articulate using these trend lines. Here we go. Just like that, you can see it's kind of compressing with the higher lows and lower highs. Let's see if this one can reach my beak wetter there at 1569. We're in the 15 mid-40s now after getting an exact touch at 15. Sadly for me, though, didn't re-up there, but we'll have to wait what we see on NVCR. I'm seeing Tesla being talked about again. This was the short of the day for me. Off this 214.25, we rode it all the way down to 210.90, and now it got that bounce off 210. So we did get support at that whole $10 level, let's say. right now on Tesla, but to be quite honest with you, the trend is still intact. The lower highs and the lower lows are intact on Tesla. It flirted with the 50 period for a little bit, had a bit of a, 3 touches here at the 50 period. It rejected all of them. It got down actually below 210. It got to around 209.5, only to find its way back up into 210.80s, and that's where we find ourselves right now. We're in the 210, where are we, 60s or so. And this is well off the pre-market level of 219, 218 and change. So we'll have to wait and see whether we get that pop back up on Tesla. Initially, my plan was to reinstitute the short should we make it back into 214, because 214 was a previous area of support around 1030 or 945 or so, and then we ended up getting short when 214 broke again, but it never made its way back up to 214. It's been a tough week. I want to say a tough couple of weeks, Adara, for Tesla, as we've given up a lot of the gains we made into late 2023.
Yeah, it's like the Cybertruck cannot get back up off the ground or something. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, it's really cool that you got to see the Cybertruck live.
Oh,
That's very neat.
So cool. I want to go back when they let me actually go inside of it.
Well, no, next time you'll be able to go to walk, see the inside. Then the third time you'll be able to go inside.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like it's going to be like a whole process. But yeah, no, I think definitely Tesla has been one to watch. I still, there's a level I like on the daily, and I want to look at it so I can kind of remember what level it is. But we had sort of a double top, it did coincide with earnings, so who knows how much of that's technical, how much of that's fundamental, and how much of that is a lovely blend of the two. But yeah, here we go. Okay. October 11th. I guess this is like a week before earnings we hit this. 264. Guess where we rejected off of later? 264.
Oh.
So sometimes levels just kind of come into play. I didn't remember exactly what level it was. That's why I wanted to check the daily. But yeah, we were really strong. We just kind of fell off that level with the viciousness starting at December 28th. So I would just keep an eye on 264. Should Tesla drive right back up the right back up the hill there. Also, I'm a high sit out of Yorkdale.
Yeah. Ram's like, she wants to get her criminal on.
Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I know. Ram's going to go in at night when Yorkdale Mall is closed. Yorkdale is a mall, guys. One of the nicer malls in the city. That's
it's
where
a hard mall you'd be able to sneak out of. There's so many doors. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You'd get caught.
Well, that stainless steel exoskeleton will help you go right through that glass, baby. That glass would not stand a chance against that stainless steel body.
So funny.
Yeah, but Ram is, well, if she takes a Cybertruck, I'll tell you, I'm jumping
you guys
in
are
that
gonna be
for a
Ocean's
ride.
11 together.
A willful blindness. I have no idea it's stolen.
Yeah. It wasn't a betting if you didn't know. It was not malice aforethought. Also, I want to say thank you so much to Obi for being on here. I forgot to say that because we just kind of had this lovely little seamless transition here.
Usual.
But yeah, I really I feel like I learned a lot from listening to what he had to say, and I honestly feel like now, and I'm not just throwing this out there, I really think that it made me understand his use of the word confluence more. And I say that because you really do need confluence. You need lots of confirmation before you enter if you're going to go something against the trend, right? If we're going to go to dip by it along, I can just be like, oh, here's a level that's holding on the tape, and there's a little dip, I'll get in, right? But if you want to go against the trend, there's so many other factors to consider, and so I think that helped me understand his approach a lot better. And I really thank you so much again, Obi, for coming on, because that was fantastic, and it's something I want to watch back and learn from.
Some of his time, because he's got that meeting. The traders have the meeting, he didn't really have as much spare time as he typically does, and he was able to give us some of his spare time. So we're always thankful to the Ob, the One, the Kenob, for coming on and giving us his look there. Some of the indicators that we talked about, guys, while Obi was here, we talked about VWAP, moving averages, we talked about RSI, we talked about average true range. These are all different indicators and tools in technical analysis that can help you with your mean reversion trading. But one thing that he stressed, as well as I stressed on the top of the show, mean reversion trading is better in consolidative markets rather than trending markets. Doesn't mean it's a hard and fast rule, just means it's better off at those times, because trending markets tend to have more strength behind them, and then you may not end up having that mean reversion trade to the level that you expected. You'll have pullbacks, obviously, in trending markets, that goes without saying, but the strength of those pullbacks is sometimes not there. And that's one of the things that defines a good trending market, is whether or not the ascents in a bull market are stronger than the pullbacks. So typically typically what you'll see is like 4 or 5 days of strength. I'm just giving you random numbers, and then 1 or 2 days of pulling back in weakness. So that is kind of one of the things that you have to be alert to when you are in attempting a mean reversion trade. NVCR continues to pump around that 15.5 area. It's not coming up into near the high of days. The high of day, at least on my chart, is at 1565. So we're going to have to pack our patience to see whether or not we can get that beak wetter filled at 69 Zadera. But it's been a nice compression pattern right now for NVCR. It's not a small cap gap, right? I wanted to say small cap gapper du jour, but the fact of the matter is it's a 1.65 billion market cap, and that's not small cap gapper du jour. So we're gonna see what we get on this bad boy. We're also looking at the future. We're also looking for a 17,000 hold on the future. We've been doing the shimmy wick dance with 17,000 from the north side. There have been a couple of cents back into 17.0 and a quarter, 17.0 and a third-ish, but they haven't been sustained, and now we are below 17,000. So let's pack our patience and see what we get with this one, Adara. What were you looking at while you were on a nice hiatus there? Lucky you.
Yeah, I ate the chicken of the day. I didn't do any trading back there just because I had my my P Pro 8 closed because I wasn't sure what was going to go on there. I did some other tasks there, but I am looking at this Lily short because look at this range. We get to 620, we reject. We go to VWAP, we go back up. This is the type of thing I enjoy seeing. And we just got filled. So I'm going to take this teeny tiny baby position, going to take this to VWAP, probably slightly above VWAP. And so, where is this? We're going to be like the 617. Well, we're falling very swiftly, so it looks like I should already be getting my profit taker set. But yeah, I like the look of this. Hopefully this goes well. If there's a nice bounce off VWAP, I might take it back to that 619 area again as well. Also, Bears vs. Bulls, the chicken of the day with the chicken emoji. Yeah, good times. Willis Addison, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Boom, emoji. Coins puts flushing. Down emoji, $sign, sunglass emoji. Killer trade, 136.53. Congratulations for your trade.
Absolutely.
Yeah, coin was a great look there. Let me pull up coin again. While Lily gets cooking here. Oh yeah, okay, so coin, I said this might be an area of interest at 130. Coin was like, what are you talking about? And went lower. And this is also interesting when you look at the daily chart, because as I said, that 130 on the daily in coin was of great interest to me. We were holding this pretty solidly. I mean, we might still close right back at that 130, but I think this break below could be of interest. My next level of interest, just based on the intraday, is gonna be this 125.30 area here. Just, looking at areas where we have a bit of a pause, a bit of consolidation, those are usually of interest to me. But congratulations to you on your trades. Willis Addison, and thank you very much for the super chat. Bears vs. Bulls updating us that save is at 422.
It's tanking. Neil just put that in the chat. It's barely trying to hold on to 4 here, Adara. It's on NY, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
No
yeah,
problem.
I don't know what my chart is doing. I think
good.
32% down on the day. Oh my lord. Yeah, save could not be saved. Oh, yeah,
Not your fail. It's failing.
Okay, I mean, I thought we were all failing together with the same, but also look at the daily chart. This guy was weak from the get-go.
You guys are on my chart, by the way. Sorry, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, we both have save up.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
yeah,
wanted
you
to
were
move.
switched, that's fair. Sorry, I was confused. Also, Saad saying, geez, just crushing the spirit of that stock.
Oh, wow. So Saad's getting in on the puns, eh? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, RIP save though. I mean, look at also the daily. Like we had all this weakness. We fell below. We came back and it's November to remember. Did not get it any farther than its earlier area of very strong consolidation around the 16.5, and then we fell right below that. So this is I can't really. I'm not going to sit here and deliver a eulogy to this stock. All I'm going to say, it's continuing to go lower. It has no respect for levels. And congrats to anybody who was in this short. And because this is a bad look. Also, go Lily. It's just dropping there. Mademoiselle Lily is. She's still like 50 pennies spreading. She is a little bit here. She's about like 35 pennies, but she's getting close to VWAP. So I'm gonna have to get my little beak wetter ready here. Let's go.
I can take over while you do that.
I'm just
no
gonna
problem.
Thank you. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
Yeah, of course. We're ascending here ever so slowly on NVCR. We're back into the 1560s after rejecting that 70-ish level because we didn't get 69 fills. The compression, the compression pattern is still on. We're breaking to the high side, resolving in the direction of the trend, or so say the textbooks. Well, right now the price action is following that. We'll see if we can get that 70 break on NVCR, 25.5% to the good. The other trade that we are in, the future, we're looking for 17 hold right now on the future. We got in at 17.006s. I don't know why it said zeros earlier. There we go. We got the first peak water. We're looking for that move into the higher highs. Like, so we had a bit of a top there at 17.025. And then we even had a wick into 17.0 but we've been bouncing, I shouldn't say rejecting, we've been bouncing off 17,000 multiple times. We did get breakdowns below that level. We'll have to wait and see. This is kind of what I like to see, but you know, obviously we want to see it move farther away from 17,000 with some pep here in its steps. So let's go ahead and sit at the quarter. We're going to sit there. We'll wait for a beak wetter in and around there on the MNQ. We'll see if we get that fill. But let's go back now to NVCR, see what's up. No, same level. You good?
Yeah, I am good now. We have our beak wetter set. I'm wondering if I set it too late. I don't know if Lily's going to come back to VWAP, but I am ready if she decides to return back home. And then if we have a nice reversal, like I said, I'll probably get long VWAP and I'll take it around that 619. The one, oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. We had a 54-cent spread there for a second there. So, yeah, as you to answer your question, she is still having the very large spread that Eli Lilly tends to have. Also, Meta really did fall off in that time that I was not looking at it. We were maybe a VWAP bounce. I don't know. The thing is too, is I think what I appreciate as well with like kind of what Obi was talking about is like just because an indicator comes into a level doesn't mean you're going to take the trade there, right? So Meta maybe bouncing off VWAP is notable, but it doesn't necessarily like mean anything, right? That's not going to be the reason you take a trade, and that's where I think the confluence message that came up was super interesting as well. So yeah, I think this is again like a lot to just kind of learn there from what Obi said, and I think with that in mind, like I'm not obviously going to take this long just because we're bouncing off VWAP, but it is something I will certainly take into consideration and note down mentally because that's a nice look. Also, speaking of VWAP, Google, hello. Yeah, Google also having a nice little VWAP bounce here. Google's been really interesting to look at today. We had this sort of double bottom around this 142, swooped to the upside, very much a higher high, then kind of came down, careening, falling down here, and then coming back to also, hey, you know what I just noticed? I get very excited when I see things in the chart. Look where we had this top earlier. We had some resistance at 910 pre-market. Then where's our support? Same area. So I'm just noticing things in the market. It's very cool when levels kind of come back to haunt you.
Yeah, and the Kenobi was talking about Google on that one as well, and he was that was his theory on Google, that it had just gone too far too quick there.
Yeah, that's a good look on Google.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. Let's look at the chat here. So big Kyle Burdett, NVIDIA bear flag, look for continuation move down, question mark, 5-minute chat, 5-minute chart, chat. Yeah, I do see what you're seeing, Kyle. Interesting look there on NVDA, 576 rejection. How many tops was that at 576? Like near 576, you could say 4. They were awfully close to that 576, but you did have multiple touches at that level itself. To go red on the day on NVIDIA, we got to break through that 560.5. We're awfully far away from that. We're $10 removed off that level, so I don't know. I don't see us breaking down through that, but we are below VWAP, and this is what Kyle was talking about, this bear flag, move down, sideways consolidation. Let's see if it continues to break down. Let's see if that 568 level can come into play on NVDA, but I'm seeing some greenery a little bit here in some of these names. Meta moving back up, Microsoft as well as NVDA coming back off that 560.25 touch, now into the 570.25 on NVIDIA. Oh, geez, NVCR giving me a heart attack. Looks like this one's going to double top, possibly here at 1560. So I don't know if I should be getting out. I'm long 1516, and now we're at 1540 off that 1560 rejection. So this one possibly double topping here. The only thing is the higher lows are still in play. But for me to get out at the next lower low, that means I got to give back the entire move because that next lower low is 15.10. So tough decisions. Ganesh, why? What is the equivalent ticker for futures that you see for NQ and ES on Webull? I don't know, my man. I don't use Webull. I think a couple of guys may have Webull here. Maybe you can ask them, but I've never used Webull. He's like, I always use SPY and Triple Q, just want to have the equivalent tickers to correlate. Yeah, no, I can see how that can be frustrating. Totally understand your perspective there. The Katina man brought up a good point. Webull may not actually have futures trading. What I would suggest to you, my man, is maybe get in touch with the customer service with Webull. Ask them what the equivalent ticker is for the futures trading there, or do a quick Google search. Type in Webull futures NQ, something like that. That's what I do when I can't find the ticker on my platform. For example, I couldn't find what the WTI was, so it's CL. For anybody using IBKR. I couldn't figure out what the 10-year, the 2-year, the 30-year yields were, and I had to Google those in order to find them. So typically you can find them online if you do a cursory search. Look at the future, pump them right back up into 17.025, and so we got another beak wetter there, but let me tell you, we're still not out of that range. We're still stuck within that 17.025 range. Look at these tops. It really can't break through these tops over here. So there's something afoot at this 17.025. We'll have to wait and see whether or not we can continue to move back up and possibly start testing 17.1 again, or at least get to 17.0.5. Otherwise, you know, I feel like we may break down below 17,000 anyway. We've held it up nicely. All the dips into 17,000 all have been bought up, but you just never want to make the assumption that things are always going to go that way. And that's why I'm keeping a close eye on some of the Mag 7 names to see what they're doing, trying to theorize what the future may be doing. So we'll keep our eye on that. Michael Strom says no futures on Webull. Okay, I'm not vouching for the accuracy of that statement. Thank you, Michael, for chiming in. I personally have never used Webull, so I'm not really sure about that. Hawaiian Family says Webull is great. Okay. Futures aren't traded on Webull, says Nick. All right. So there you go. That's why this community is what it is, because if you don't have the answer, chances are somebody in the chat or in the community will have it. Thank you very much, guys, for chiming in there. Big Kyle Burdett, any news on what Bostic said? I couldn't find anything. Let me have a look. So usually if there's anything pressing, the Brendo will let us know. How do I spell it? Is it ICK or just
IC?
IC, that's it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we're going to load it up. Atlanta Fed, Bostic says open to starting rate cuts before July if there is convincing evidence inflation is slowing faster than he anticipates. Again, we've been hearing a lot about, you know, some of the rate cuts getting kicked down the road. You know, if you look at the March possibility for a rate cut, I think it's a lot lower now. Here's another headline. Fed Bostic repeats baseline is for rate reduction starting in Q3, not Q2, with care needed not to cut too soon and risk renewed demand and price pressures, says given uncertainty, unwise for Fed to lock in any approach at this point. Okay, and here's the other headline. Fed Bostic cites possibility conflicts around the world could again complicate supply chains, risk that the U.S. budget fights and elections could affect the economy and the financial markets. Big Bostic having his say on the day, Adara, as we pump up back into 17.025 in the future.
Yeah, go Bostic, giving the market a nice little pump there. That he spoke at 12:05, I believe, because I remember because it was such a highly specific time.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, I do not know what I'm doing here. I should have just had, if I had had like that fill set right away, I would have been finding this Eli Lilly short. Alas, I didn't. I did see we had this nice move off that 618, so I tried to get back into this long. It went against me. This is just, I just need to like leave her alone for today. We did have that one nice trade here initially. I just should have probably taken everything out in that first long. But I do still, like, as long as we don't break below VWAP, I'm going to probably stay in this. I have very few shares. So I'm going to wait and see that bounce off VWAP again, because I, take it to about that 619, because that has been a solid level. It is also getting a skosh compression-y with these slightly lower highs, slightly higher lows. So just a lot of things that I'm just keeping an eye on as I'm just trying to kind of practice, like spotting setups, getting in and out of trades. I was trying to do a bit of a, I guess, like, a switch it up type of play here. Short was wrong, tried to go for the long. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, really just kicking myself for not setting that out immediately when I got into Lily. But this is how we learn. It's how we learn. So that would be my take on that here. So also Google climbing back up here off of VWAP once again. That VWAP bounce, very strong, or not, okay, very strong is a strong word.
You know what I liked about Obi's description, sorry to interrupt you, is how he described VWAP and some of the moving averages as magnets that attract the price action back there, even if it ever so briefly. So the strategy of putting your resting order at or to follow the moving average, because the moving average is moving every second on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, or whatever. If there was a way for you to pin your resting order to the current price of the moving average, I know that there is on my platform. So that way, if it does retrace into the moving average of choice, you get that fill immediately, and then you can scalp.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Because you can have a resting profit taker super quick, 10, 15 pennies, whatever it's going to be. So I really like him describing it that way, and it made like eminent sense to me.
Yeah.
Describing it as a magnet. So shout out to the Canobe.
Yeah, no, because I like to. I was saying this earlier. Another thing I really appreciated about his descriptor there was it's like you're not going to take a trade just because it hits this level, right? But this is what I said again. Like I think the confluence. I really understand how he looks for confluence and why he looks for confluence, because you really want multiple levels kind of coming together. Keeping an eye on everything.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get out of my future straight.
The
Katina man is short AMD, guys. He just took the 161 break on AMD short. Katina man short AMD 161 break. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And short Roblox too, by the way. Price? 38.66 short Roblox. Katina.
Yeah, congratulations there. I like the little bear animation coming through. I'm just sliding by over here. Yeah, VWAP, Lily kind of getting close to that VWAP bounce. I'm going to keep a really careful eye on it here. What else am I looking at? A little bit of Tesla. I mean, I'm always looking at Tesla, but Tesla's honestly been such a strange one today. Best I can see, maybe short it. I might short it off this, like the kind of 210, almost 211 area. Just take it down to that 210, but also that 210 consolidation is like kind of scaring me. If it gets like this kind of tight, we might just burst up with a vengeance, and I definitely do not want to be a part of that move, let me tell you. But yeah, just things to keep an eye on there. What else is happening? Meta also kind of falling off.
So we're $2 in the money on Shopify.
$2 in the money in Shopify, Sean.
Instantly.
For AMD.
AMD, we're short 161 like 2 minutes ago.
AMD has entered the dollar club in about 2 minutes, short 161. And then also Shopify, $2 in the money. This is the Sean update. I was going to say the Sean message, but the Sean update makes way more sense. Thank you. Willis Addison, $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Send it, market makers. Down thing. Coin bag. Yes, let's go! Exclamation point emoji. Thank you so much for your super chat. And let's go over here as well. Hot dog trades. I mean, yeah, congratulations there, Sean, and thank you very much for the update, because now everybody always wants to know what the Sean trades are, and those are the Sean trades for right now. So yeah, thank you so much for that. I love all the little animations coming through. Very entertaining, keeps us all entertained over here, so very much appreciated. What else? Seeing anything else in the chat here to the downside or to the upside or anything moving? Lots of AMD talks, but I'm gonna look at coin again for Willis Addison super chat here again. Congrats to you, because coin keeps falling here. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. I like levels on coin. I don't even know what to say anymore. I keep seeing things I think might be levels, but like it looks like coin is really not respecting levels over here. We are getting close to that area I thought might be interesting earlier. That 125, 127. Pardon? Bitcoin's getting destroyed. I'm going to pull up that Bitcoin chart there in TradingView, actually. So that is certainly the look here. Yeah, because I was looking at Hut C earlier, or Hut 8. I'm going to look at Hut 8 later again after that short report. But it looks like Bitcoin in general having a bit of a rough time here. Oh, okay. Yeah, Bitcoin, also interesting too. Bitcoin kind of having a bit of a solid bottom here at that 41.5 area. If we break that 41.5, I think this could be a fairly significant, fairly momentous moment. Speaking of things breaking below levels, Angry Bear saying Tesla broke 210.
Oh, yeah.
So let's look at Tesla. Not on the daily, although the daily is.
It broke that 10 level? It did.
It broke
Oh my
210.
God.
It's breaking that kind of consolidation
Yep,
area.
yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's so much going on in the market today.
The Katina man is now $1.50 in the money on that AMD short, AMD. We're just joking
I
around.
like it.
Yeah. It's close enough to $1.50 in the money there, guys. Big break. AMD is now a negative on the day. What was this up again? What was it up?
AMD?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was up like
decidedly.
2 or 3% this morning
Right?
in the pre.
Okay, let's. Yeah, here we go. We got AMD right here, guys. AMD has moved almost $10 off the top. 168.60 was the top that we made there at around 9:45 after the bell. And then it's been down and to the right since then. It's been lower highs and lower lows, and now we just broke through 160, 159.73 technically, the low on the day. That is the closing print from yesterday, that 160 level. Do we find support at yesterday's closing print? It also happens to be that whole dollar level. We'll have to wait and see, but it doesn't look good for now because that trend is intact, my friends, on AMD, bringing it down into the 160 and almost negative. Well, it is negative on the day, albeit very, very small amounts. The future has come back into 17,000 again, okay? How many touches are we going to get at 17,000? That's the first touch we got here was around 12:15, and then we got another touch here at around 12:35, and then here as we knock on the door of 1 o'clock, we got another touch within a very tight range. It's about a 25-point range, give or take. We have 17,000 to the downside and 17,025 to the high side, and it's been a triple top and a triple bottom off that particular level. Sideways move here. Do we hold 17,000? And if we do, how far back up do we get? Or is it the other side of the coin where 17,000 is going to be
It's a great animation.
It could be. It could be. It could be a flat bottom break. Definitely on the future. We're going to have to watch this one very intently as we're still involved with this one. Now coming back down into 17,000 again on the future. Let's check that other trade real quick. NVCR. We're still holding there. The Katina man. He's riding that bear. Is that a grizzly? That is a grizzly. NVCR back into that 15 1/3. So we're polar bear. I've never seen a brown-looking polar bear, unless maybe they jump in the mud or something like that. The Katina man's got a brown polar bear in his backyard. So white polar bear in his backyard. That should be a polar bear. Well, given that we are Canadian, it would make sense. But we got our fair share of grizzlies too, and black bears. We got all the bears, baby. Have you ever seen a black bear while camping?
I don't think
I have.
so. Oh my gosh.
They're scared of you, but I was just scared of it, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I always say, oh, it's more scared of you than you are of it. Like, that's cool, but
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't
cool,
make
bro.
a difference.
Yeah. When
Cool
you're
story, bro.
there and you see the bear, and you can talk after that, right?
That's crazy, yeah.
Oh, the Chilean Nightmare just told me that polar bears are actually mixing with brown bears. I didn't actually know that.
So what is it, like a light gray bear? Like a beige bear?
So they're migrating south for food sources, and they're
Okay.
encountering the brown bear.
Okay.
Because they're typically north of the Arctic Circle, right?
Okay,
Or
yeah.
in the subarctic at least,
Yeah.
right? And seems as if there's some interspecies intermingling there. I wonder what that looks like. We'll probably actually do.
I think it's a beige bear. That's what I think. It has
Yeah,
to be
a
beige
ginger bear, a honey bear. Okay, mixed race bear.
Oh.
Bro, come on, man. We're trying to keep a straight face here. Calm down.
Also, Jimbo Slay saying it is 0% chance they'd be more afraid of me. Yeah.
Whoa, that's confident. I like that.
I mean, I guess he's saying that he's definitely going to be more afraid than the bear, right? So kind of an echo of what you're saying. Because there's a 0% chance that the bear would be more afraid than they are, I guess is what they're saying here.
It was like a smallerish bear too. Kind of looked like a really big dog. It was kind of, yeah, it was not what I expected. There's a fundamental difference in size between grizzly and black bears.
That
right?
I did know,
They're not the same. I've seen a grizzly bear in captivity before, and I saw the black bear IRL, and they're not the same. I'll tell you that.
Also, Kyle Burnett, a brown bear and a white bear makes a ginger bear. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it would be like kind of like, when you have coffee, add a little bit of milk to it. That's the color I'm picturing.
Yeah, well.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Learning new
Guys,
things every day.
I'm awfully close to ending this futures trade here because we've been at 17,000. Look, we're bouncing off that level. I'm just really concerned for a flat bottom break and a Huadunk. We do have an auction. It is not that important of an auction according to investing.com. It got 1 bull out of 3. I am talking about the 10, oh, actually, sorry, it got 2 bulls out of 3. Correction. It's the 10-year TIPS auction. It takes place right now. We won't know what the actual result is until a few minutes. The previous print was 2.180, but somebody in the chat yesterday told me that I'm getting this wrong every time, and that the comparison I should be making is not to the previous print, but the current interest rates or the current yield for that particular instrument. So we'll have to wait and see what we get before we make the comparison. Anyway, future breaking down now below 17,000 a day. I'll send it to you as I set my stops here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, I feel like I'm just not on my A game today for the trading. I mean, part of that might be that I've spent too much time looking at Mademoiselle Lily, and I will admit that might be oh, she's so pretty.
So that's, I'm assuming, a grizzly polar mix?
Yeah, it does look like the latte with cream.
Yeah, well, you can kind of tell.
Oh my gosh. I really like it.
So that's a brown bear mixed with a polar bear. That's not a grizzly.
Oh, sorry, yeah, brown and polar. That's such a nice color. I'm a fan of that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a very cool color. I mean, yeah, definitely like a scary look. Tim is in saying that thing would eat my face.
And can you imagine the temperament? Because grizzlies are quite aggressive, and polar bears, well, they're known man-eaters, right?
That's true, right? So it's gonna be like extra mad.
Oh, extra angry. Yeah, I definitely would not want to run into that monster.
Neil, I don't have to be faster than the bear, just faster than who I'm with. Neil is like everyone else goes to the wayside.
How cute the bear is. All you want. I'm just running away from that.
I don't think the bear is cute at all. I think it's terrifying.
I'm calm.
Neil's like, I'm God. I don't look, we're friends, but you know, in matters of life and death, it's better to you than me kind of thing, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that on the show.
Also, I do have to acknowledge as well, live trading with Trader TV. I was this Fabian or Amin. If you ever see me fighting in the forest with the grizzly bear, help the bear.
Who was that? Was that Chilean Nightmare? Yeah, that was a Chilean Nightmare. If I love it, then it'll love me. Who wrote that? That was Ram Ram. That was Ram Ram. Yes, Ram Ram, that's what animals think. They're like, oh, how does this person feel about me? That's true. That's like a very Middle Eastern thing to do, have a lion as a pet. Like, I don't know, I've just seen so many videos of people in Saudi with tigers in their houses. Why do they have tigers in their houses? But it's funny. All right, guys, let's concentrate a little bit on trading here because we did break down below 17,000. I haven't gotten the results of that auction quite yet. I still got the hourglass icon. So out of the futures trade, we'll take that one for flat trade, actually, because we already had a couple of beak wetters for profit. So nothing gained, nothing lost on that trade. The other trade that we're involved in is still this NVCR, well in the money on this one, but it slowed down in its ascent. My concern about NVCR was kind of possibly put in what looked to be a double top here at 1560, but you know, it's continuing to put in higher lows. So the compression continues here on NVCR. I just have to change these trend lines a little bit because they're no longer valid. The compression is a little bit wider. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see what we get here on the trade. Imagine you had a lion wrestle. Come on, Kyle. Kill me, bro. All right, let's see what other people are saying here. What trading platform, Simo is asking? We use a platform called P Pro 8. It is proprietary to day trade the world. DTTW, that's a little icon that you see on the bottom left of your screen there. It is the company that makes this platform. It is the company that runs this trading floor right behind me here. And it is on the other side of this building. Whoa, okay, the market is absolutely tanking, and 17,000 now, just a distant dream. The Katina man printing on his shorts there on the future. 1.810 is the result of that auction. Yeah, Willis Addison, Cocaine Bear. I remember you're like the only person on the floor that actually watched that movie.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I still haven't. I haven't watched that. I remember that Neil watched Oppenheimer. I still haven't seen Oppenheimer. Anyway, here is the look at the Mag 7 Meta tanking off that VWAP hold, 374.5 VWAP hold on Meta for a while, and then the auction came and well, there you go. We just got a 372.50 touch. Much the same thing with Amazon here. Also was kind of trying to hold VWAP there, and there we go. 153 broke. Now 152.5 broke. Now we're headed down possibly to low day at 151.82 on AMD. Apple still holding VWAP right now at 187.60. It seems like it's a bit of an isolated one, Apple, because it got an upgrade today, and it also had a couple of positive headlines with respect to the Apple Watch 9 and Ultra 2. And so we'll wait and see what we get. But that Tesla short, man, that is the one that paid. It's at 209 right now. We had this bad boy short at 214.25, and then we de-risked at 210.90. But it continues to plummet. TSLA about to break 209, and there goes 209 on Tesla. All sorts of weakness now. Below 3% on the day. Adara is Tesla, inching awfully close to that 200 level that my friend Alfred said he'd be buying at. And maybe I'll have some guts and I'll buy at 200 as well. Who knows?
Yeah, like go check the bat phone, talk to Alfred, see how that is going there. I'm sorry, I had to.
Of course.
But yeah, no, I think definitely. Remember, like before the midday started, we were talking about Tesla, and we were like, oh, what if it doesn't break 212 because it bounced off 212 for a second,
right? And
now we're breaking 209.
Yes.
So it's like Tesla and Coinbase, both, shout out again to Willis Addison, thank you so much for the super chats today. Neither of those seem to care about any levels, or they said, what is the bottom? There is no floor. We will continue to whatever the opposite of flying is, just sinking. But yeah, I mean, Tesla is certainly an interesting one to watch today. Absolutely. Also, Eli Lilly getting close. I'm just going to get out at 619.50, right before 619.50. I should have reloaded at VWAP. This is just definitely been a mistake.
The Katina man is now almost $2 in the money on AMD as it comes, forget about 160. Now we're talking about 159 possible hold here as it's now down 2/3%. We were just talking about this one flat. All sorts of weakness, Adara. Do we want to restart the lesson?
Let's do it. I was just thinking, yeah, I can get started again with this. So excited today to talk about mean reversion. So this is really interesting one. Basically, when an asset's current market price is less than its last average price, it's basically the history of this theory, right? When it's considered attractive for purchase. So conversely, if the current price is above its average, it's expected to fall. And so traders and investors will use mean reversion for timing of their respective trading and investment strategies. So one of the really interesting things too I learned when I was reading about this is there's also like different, you'll use different averages when you're doing intraday versus when you're doing swing or longer term investing, right? So you might want like a shorter term average if you're gonna do intraday. You might want a longer, wider term average if you do, if you're going to do the longer term. So I just think that's an interesting take on that. What else am I seeing here? Just to kind of go through these notes. So yeah, basically understanding mean reversion. The concept is basically grounded in the idea that asset prices and historical returns gravitate towards a long-term average over time. And the greater the deviation from this mean, the higher the probability that the asset's price will move closer to it in the future. And I think that's why I really appreciate you saying that thing that Obi said about magnets. Yeah. Right? It's like there are certain aspects, technical aspects, and also like just fundamental and price aspects, historical aspects that stocks will gravitate towards. And I guess the main belief in mean reversion is that one of those aspects is the average. Yes. And so I think that's really important. I think that's really cool.
No question
here. And then also there's different aspects that you're going to kind of use maybe when you trade, when you do this mean reversion trading, including statistical analysis. So a lot of, some investors will use tools like Z-scores, which is to measure how far an asset price has deviated from its mean. And so a Z-score above 1.5 or below 1.5 might signal a trading opportunity. And I have it written down. I'm going to go check my notes in a minute on that and how you calculate a Z-score. But it's an interesting one there for sure. As someone who likes math, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, you're all about that.
I do like the math life. Also, pairs trading is another interesting one. So basically, investors or traders, depending on what time frame you're doing this, right, will look at two correlated assets. And when the price ratio between them deviates from the mean, they go long on the undervalued asset and they short the overvalued one. So again, it's the opposite of the current movement, right? And you're making these choices not all willy-nilly. You're making it based on certain I guess aspects, like technical aspects, right? And I think that's also what was really cool about, again, with Confluence, looking for finding these, these connections on certain levels and making sure that you get in for a reason and when all of the stars align, I guess, for lack of a better term there. Volatility also worth noting here as well. So some investors and traders will use the mean reversion in context of volatility, and by that, buying when the volatility is high with the expectation that it'll revert to the mean. Buying options for it when the volatility is high. Risk management also, so not even just for entering trades or for the entire base of the trades, you can use these, how sometimes you'll use indicators as an area to set stop losses. You can use mean reversion to help set stop losses as well. So it's like, if you can kind of set your stop loss, your profit taker, or your beak wetter, what have you, around the mean so that you can kind of manage potential losses and secure gains. So of course this is lagging, this is based on past information, but you can kind of use this to set up for how you can exit your trade and it's based on the idea that, like Obi was saying, that there are certain areas that it does magnetize towards.
Yes.
So yeah, really, it's kind of using historical data to help predict future data. Other technical analysis elements that we might see mean reversion traders use. Moving averages. So the idea to just used to identify a mean price over a specific period. Mm-hmm. And if the price is above the moving average and over a certain threshold, it might be considered overbought. If it's the opposite, it might be considered oversold. So basically, and this is what I was asking Sharif about too, that I think is interesting, what you're kind of looking for is kind of the opportunity, right, where it seems like it's going kind of a certain way. Don't just look at the chart, look at the indicator. What's the indicator telling you? And then once you have that confluence, you can kind of get in the opposite direction.
Fair.
Yeah. There's also, a lot of these indicators, right? Like RSI, kind of just what I touched on here. The idea that you can, if you have an RSI over 70 suggesting overbought conditions, and the RSI below 30 suggesting oversold. So if you get to that oversold area, then you might want to go for a long. So it's kind of like just preemptively guessing where that change might be.
And as we always say, right, it's on the balance of the evidence. Yeah. So if you are using multiple indicators along with the price action, along with the macro trend, right, you're trying to weigh where the evidence is tilting towards, and then you're taking the trade based on that. You're unlikely to have everything pointing the same direction. You might get lucky if, once in a while that'll happen, but it's a balance of the evidence approach there. Yeah.
And that's what I like too about mean reversion trading is there's so many different types of evidence you can glean. Do you know what I mean? Like there's all of these different type of indicators that can use. MACD is also another one. The moving average convergence divergence is one you can use as well. Because if it crosses above or below its signal, it can be a sign the asset's deviating from its mean, and that's when you might want to get involved. So I think that's really another thing I want to note as well. It was kind of like, what we were saying, what I thought, with weighing out the balance of the evidence kind of reminds me of beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
You're never going to know anything for sure, but it has to be with all of the evidence we have, again, to make a court analogy here, is the stock guilty or not guilty? Do I go long or do I go short or do I not get involved, right? And I think that's something I'm trying to get better at, honestly, as well, with some of these paper-handed Eli Lilly trades over here. But yeah, I think really just taking time to look at all the evidence. And what I do respect, and why I'm excited to kind of learn more about this mean reversion technique, is that it really is super technical. You do have to kind of look at all, and there's so many different technical indicators available to you. And I think that's really neat as well. Intraday moving averages also, like I said, it can be a little bit different at intraday trading versus longer-term trading. Here, day traders, for example, will use shorter-term moving averages to identify the intraday mean price. And then when you see that movement in the price, then the reversion can be expected. You can get involved there. That also kind of reminds me too, I know we were talking about EMAs, where like with the, you know, you're going to use like different moving averages for small caps versus longer caps, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the same with like, you know, mean reversion. If you're going to do it shorter term, you might want a shorter term moving average, but obviously longer term. You don't want to get involved in this longer term mean reversion trade because you see something on the EMA, right? That's not really going to help you if you want to look for a longer term mean reversion.
Neil is trolling me in the chat. I mean, like, I can't seem to live this weekend down, but he writes, I know some things for sure. My wife and daughters, I love. I think he means I love. My wife and daughters love, and the Cowboys suck. Okay. Okay, Neil. I see how it is. All good. But you're bang on with that. Make sure that the moving average you're using is conducive to the actual time frame that you're working off, right? Otherwise, you're kind of, you're trying to, I don't know, use a knife to pick up a pea. I don't know why I got that. But let me look at NVCR over here, because guys, we got right back into high a day again, into 1560. The Katina Man is now 2 smackaroos in the money on that AMD short. It is now down 0.75%. He has now 4 positions that are more than $1 in the money. Shop, RBLX, AMD, and Affirm. And Apple long. Oh, okay, he took Apple long as well. Okay. That's from early this morning when in the pre. He took it in the pre. I saw him take that. So. Fantastic look there for the Katina Man. NVCR rejecting off high days again. And here we go. I've got to pack my patience if I really want that 69 fill. Otherwise, I could have got a 68 fill. Right back down into 1540 goes the NVCR. So we'll have to wait and see whether we can get that 69 fill, but nicely up on it with 16 prints. All right, this is the one that I want to show, Adara, right? There is a nice mean reversion trade that has 4 simple rules. It's a swing trade for mean reversion, okay? And I want to give the very simple rules for this. It goes as follows. Number 1, you have to identify whether the market is trending, whether to the high side or the low side, in general, not on the day, but in general, because it's a swing trade. And then you have to basically choose when it's not trending. You're going to want times when it is consolidative, because mean reversion trades work better during consolidative markets. When they are trending and they're trending aggressively, sometimes or most of the time they don't revert back to the mean. They may pull back, but not back to the mean. So the rules are as follows. 1, the instrument that you want to trade is above the 200-day moving average. SMA, fine for our purposes right now. So that's the first rule. The second rule, you have to wait until the 10-period RSI, relative strength index, is below 30. Rule number 2. Rule number 3, once those 2 criteria are filled, you get long or short, whatever. If in the case of the short, obviously, it's going to be below the 200 and above 70 rather than above the 200 and below 30, okay? You're going to buy or short the next day's open. The reason you're waiting for the next day is you're waiting for that closing print on RSI. And then you're going to exit your either long or short if, for the longs, when the RSI crosses above 40, for the shorts, when the RSI crosses below 60, excuse me. So that's a very simple trade. 4 rules. The market is above the 200-day moving average. The 10-period RSI is below 30. Buy on the next day's open. Exit when the 10-period RSI crosses above 40. This is a trade that has 70-some-odd% accuracy during trending markets for swings conjured up by Larry Connors and Cesar Alvarez. So this is not my little concoction there. And the market that they particularly traded was the S&P, and here is the look there. So let me just show you exactly what I'm talking about. It's obviously a screenshot from TradingView. Here they're trading the S&P E-mini. So this is the black line is the 200 period. The squiggly line below, peaks and troughs, that's the RSI. So they wait until the RSI dips below 30, but the price action remains above the 200. They get long the next day, hence that blue line right there, and then they exit once the RSI breaks through that 40 period. And the whole point is, it's not a trend following trade. It's a mean reversion trade, hence why they are getting out at the break of the RSI on 40, right? I mean, obviously you could hold this if you want, but then you're kind of concocting your own trade. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought it would be a good trade for folks to follow.
Well, it's cool too, and I like it too because it's like a little bit scalpy. You know what I mean? Like you're getting in the second you see that confirmation with that RSI, and the second the RSI turns against you, you get out. As a scalper, or as someone who I identify, I would say my trading lends itself most to scalping, I find that very interesting, and it's something I pay more attention to. So it's like you're really getting these teeny tiny movements, but you're getting them in a very disciplined way, and you're waiting for that mean to revert. And I think, like, you know, it's a very cool technique. And like I said too, what I really appreciated about hearing Obi just talk about his experiences with mean reversion trading is, there's so many different things you're paying attention to, and you need it all to kind of align perfectly. And I think it's, even if I don't necessarily mean revert trade, although I will argue, you know, some of my stuff's counter trend, I think that's something I want to pay attention to. Don't just get involved because you see one thing, and this is one thing I'm definitely working on. Get involved when everything lines up perfectly, and then just make sure you feel confident, and then you can execute, which I think is really cool. Also, Apple falling below VWAP here. I tried to get in on this short, and then it just did not, and unfortunately did not materialize. I was trying to get it at 187.45. We got to like 187.42 or something. The spread just got me a little bit swooped out to the downside here. I am done with Eli Lilly for today, but we had 1.5 successful trades on this. I say half because one of them I didn't take out the whole position at one point, and I should have. But yeah, and I mean, even here, like the one really losing trade, we lost like 25 cents on. So it's obviously not perfect, but I'm just trying to learn a little bit from every trade. Happy that I'm on, you know, again, always grateful to be able to learn in the sim in this community. But yeah, Eli Lilly's still rangy, but I'm just trying to stay out of it for now because
what is happening?
The spread has been wider than usual. But yeah, like what? Pardon?
Oh, he's talking about AMD. You're good.
Oh, go AMD. Yeah, I mean, let's see AMD. Because I have not, we haven't looked at AMC in a while either. I want to pay.
What is that up to?
Yeah, AMD's down 1%. Oh, this is a nice short. Congratulations to Sean. And the illustrious Dollar Club. Not very exclusive today. Everybody's coming in the Dollar Club there with all of those fabulous trades. I know at one point Sean said in the chat, 4 trades currently in the $1 Club. So very not too exclusive today. All the trades killing it. AMC up on the day. Not words I thought I'd be saying. Not actually a bad look either. Higher highs, higher lows. I was just looking at this because I was thinking about AMD, and I was like, what about AMP? What about AMP? I know AMP also on the daily is going to be not a fun look, though. I remember trading this at like $9 during the whole Taylor Swift hype, and those days are long gone. Oh, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a sad look. But
well, you should have seen this in 2021. I mean, it was like
there's another one of those meme stocks?
I remember, this was the meme stock.
I thought it was GME.
Well, they were both.
Oh, they were like
you should see like some of the dudes that traded the stock, they would go to the AMC theaters and they'd like start praying to it. Like praying to the AMC gods for racking up money in their accounts. Yeah, there was all sorts of hilarious memes. People were just driving to the theater in the middle of January and setting up a little prayer thing. And it was jokes.
AMC Twitter is pretty entertaining too. I have to say, like, there's a lot of people on there.
Oh yeah.
Like the people on like the AMC like stock Twitter, like people the memes. Gotcha. I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this market is, guys, we cleared 17,000 a while ago, and now we are on the way down. So we are giving up that big move that we had earlier. The market now, where are we at? No, we're still positive on the day on the market. So the NQ's closing print yesterday was 16,870. And we're still above that. But we are below VWAP, we are below 17,000, so we'll have to wait and see whether or not we can catch a bid at this 50-point level. We just got to 16,950, but everything and their mother's third cousin was trending down. Seriously though, in the Mag 7 world at least, I guess maybe Everything is curling up now except for Apple. I'm seeing green candles on most of them except for AAPL here, which is really coming off that 189 touch earlier. 188.96, pardon me. So 4 pennies off 189. We are about $2 off that right now. 186.90s on AAPL, catching a nice upgrade today from Bank of America. Amazon, you know, look, it's below 153, it's below VWAP, but catching a nice little bid off that 152.25. Not much to report there. Just some green curling candles on some of these Mag 7 names, and this hammer candle, for whatever reason, coming in on the future off that 16.950. So I don't want to put too much stock into one candle or you know, make any pronouncements yet, but we'll wait to see what we get with this futures look right now. I also see the same kind of hammer candle on NVIDIA, right? So we almost went red on NVIDIA. We were awfully close to breaking that 560 1/3 that we closed off yesterday. That was yesterday's closing print. And we dipped into 561.07, so we were awfully close for a $500 stock to break even, but a bit of a hammer candle being put in right now. So we'll have to see if that's just, you know, just a quick look at a hammer candle, or whether there's any subsistence to this to a possible move up. Looking here and seeing what else is moving, guys. If anything is moving of interest in the chat, like, we would love to know about it. I'm looking at my scanner to see whether anything is moving. MRAI just kind of popped up a little bit. It's doing that little dance with VWAP. This was a small cap gapper that we were looking at earlier. Let's have a look at MRAI. Oh, BFRG is not looking too bad here either. Ooh. Oh, okay.
Bullfrog, bull flag came through.
Mm-hmm. So we'll take Boeing off. We'll look at MRAI. Here's that look. So this one, you know, it had its move yesterday in the aftermarket at 4 o'clock, rocketed up off 85 pennies to about $1.43. So this, you know, it's up 44% on the day based on the closing print from yesterday, which was 84 pennies. But the majority of the move happened in the aftermarket yesterday, and it's been kind of consolidative today, 4 a.m. onwards. Most of the day was spent below VWAP, reclaimed VWAP at around 10 a.m. there, and made a 135 touch at around 12. Above VWAP, but you know, the notional move isn't there. The notional range, I should say, isn't there. So not too excited to get into this one. The other trade that I'm in, got a little bit left on this NVCR. It keeps rejecting off that high mid 1560s and then makes its way all the way back down near my entry. So I'm trying to pack my patience with this one and seeing if I can get that 69 fill, but it's continuing to range about 70 pennies or so, 15 to the low side, 1570 to the high side. Can't really break through that. Yeah, that's it. I don't have anything there. John DiPietro saying fun. Haven't looked at fun today. I had eyes on DWAC though. Let's have a look at PHUN. And it's a little consolidative as well, John. I mean, it broke above VWAP here in the open, had a big move up at around 940, 930, and you know, it kind of range traded a little bit. I don't want to say it range traded, but it was above a little VWAP for a bit and a little bit below. Didn't hold this strict level of 23.5 pennies over here. I would have definitely liked to see this area of resistance hold as support. It didn't, broke a little bit below that, but I don't have a trade on fun. It's too undecided for me, Adair.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an interesting look. It'll probably been having fun all week. Let's see if the fun continues into next week, depending what we get happening with regards to, you know, the campaign and the primaries and what have you. There may be more fun on the horizon for that stock. Also, I got involved in this meta trade. Very sad to report, I did have another typo trade. I got out only part of the position, slightly above my fill, so we still do have half of the position, and I will be getting it out at this 370, 355, which was initially where I was trying to get out the first part. But alas, that did not occur. I do like the look on meta though, and you know, I got in here because I saw this. I watched for a little bit. I watched in the book. We held this 373 or 372.80 like a glove, and that was the same area we burst up from earlier. So I was like, let's get involved. We got involved, very happy to say it. My plan to get out would have been if we broke below this 372.17, because that would have been a lower low. So let's just get some beak wetters going here. And now let's look at Boeing here for Nima Amadi in the chat. I mentioned this in the chat as well, but I'll say it as well, just kind of to look over this. I think you were asking if it was a short. I think the thing with Boeing is we're still up like 3.5% in the day, right? So we haven't made a higher high. We have not made a lower low. We're extremely consolidated. Like if I were to draw a trend line, even just based on the bottom line here, I mean, it's not perfect, but I wouldn't say we're going to the downside, right? I would say for a short, you would need to make a lower low. I would say decisively lower low. I don't mean like out of this range. I mean below this like 208.70. I think if we break below that 208.70, especially because it's so close to VWAP, that could be of interest. But truthfully, I have to tell you right now, this does not look like a short to me because we are very much up on the day. But I mean, in terms of levels where it might be interesting, or on the daily chart here, let's take a look. Yeah, I mean, let me see here. Yeah, I think like again that 207 could still be interesting because that we had this kind of candle here before we gapped to the upside on November 18th, November 20th. Yeah, so I think that could be of interest, that 207 potentially, because we did close there before. I think that could be an area just to keep an eye on here, but mostly like for myself, at least for what I'm trading, just keeping an eye on that meta. And you know, I did fat finger my way out of half this position, but you know what, I appreciate Obi saying too, like there's always, just wait for the next trade, right? And so I'm just gonna not beat myself up for this one fat finger situation. We're holding 373 well enough that I feel emboldened to continue in this trade. I have to say this kind of wick of buyers or sellers eating up buyers here concerns me a little bit, but the 373 level hold is decent enough that I'm okay with this. Also, Apple, giant bite taken out of Apple here, but much like Meta, coming back into kind of an area that we popped up from earlier. So we did fall from grace off of VWAP. We got to this 186.85 area and coming back to the upside. I honestly might get involved in this as well, kind of as a sympathy play to Meta, not because the two stocks are similar, mind you, but they both are high on the day. They both had positive catalysts. Meta with a price target increase from Bernstein, Apple with an upgrade, first of the year from B of A, right? So I think catalysts are similar. Shapes of these stocks are similar. Like look at the Apple chart. Now we're going to pull up the Meta chart, right? So I think there might be some confluence here. Shout out to Obi, as always. And I think, you know, I'm just trying to see things and get involved, not force trades. But this, oh my God, in the time that I've been speaking on this, Apple just climbed a little bit more. So yeah, Apple definitely wants to keep going here. Yeah, really interesting look. Staying away from Eli Lilly, but I will just point out that I think this is a really interesting kind of compression wedge we've got here. Gradually lower highs, higher lows. That's why I moved away from it after a certain point. But I think if this expands in one direction, this could be very interesting. Compression wedges can kind of go either way, right? So we'll have to wait and see what occurs here. Short lucid like loco, says Teddy the trader. Yeah, I mean, I know Neil is very much pays attention to lucid. It's not one I've looked at in a little bit, but I know that's really grim. I was gonna say, I knew some of these EVs were on watch this morning after that news. I'm gonna pull up the exact wording of the headline with regards to the, the U.S. Transportation Department saying it's awarding $148.8 million for projects in 20 states to repair or replace 4,500 existing EV charging stations, right? So this is a strong catalyst. These EVs very much trading to the downside either way. But yeah, Lucid, a nice little look. You are not wrong, Teddy the trader. It looks like, yeah, shorting Lucid, definitely a nice look. We had a little bit of a consolidative move there, and then it slumped back to the downside. Oh, you're in NVIDIA.
Yeah, I just got in right now on NVIDIA as we now start to curl back up on some of these Mag 7 names there. What's up, Katina Man? Oh, the Katina Man likes that idea, and there it goes through 564. I see the future popping a little bit. I saw a couple of hammer candles form on NVIDIA, very small position. It's just it's a wild name, right? So we don't want to get in too much trouble here with NVDA. But I don't know how long I'm going to be in this NVCR trade, as it now the volume is really dropping off on NVCR. So I'm a little concerned with that. Let's go ahead and put some more profit takers at the $0.25 level on NVIDIA. there. We'll see if we get filled up now 0.2%. The what's it called? The chips, that's the word I'm looking for. Microchips, semis were awfully strong to start the day. Then they absolutely tanked. The Katina Man took $2 on AMD. Like that 160 level didn't even matter. We got into the low 158s where it looks like we're making a little bit back of it now. There goes NVIDIA to the high side, baby, 564. Let's see if we can ride this one for $1. Otherwise, oh, the cash cow. Yeah, I love that animation. We got to get that one on here. Cash cow, that's really good one.
They're all great. They're all like
they all are really good. I was just up talking to the Chilean Nightmare and Ram trying to see if I can bamboozle some more animations. Ooh. Right? Well, this one super simple. I just wanted like a clapping animation there. You know what I mean? There we go.
Maybe it's like there it is. That's the animation.
We'll just get Ram to clap anytime we want the clapping animation. No, she's too busy for that kind of stuff. But yeah, there we go. Through 565 now on NVDA. Big Eddie R is also long NVIDIA. Let's see if we can pump up here on NVIDIA. I've got 4 beak wetters and I'm already out of half of the position here. 565 possibility coming soon. I think we are below that. I haven't gotten a print on my chart here above 565. It did come into yesterday's closing print, and by it I'm talking about NVIDIA. You guys know how I chart my closing prints from the prior day using horizontal trend lines, and so look how close we came here to getting a touch at 560.44. We got down to 560.107 for $500 name. That is awfully close. On NVDA. There goes 565 on NVDA. Let's go ahead and sit at the $0.25 because what is life without whimsy? Here we go, coming into the 1/5 of a dollar now, and there it goes. NVIDIA is absolutely pumping to the high side here, about $4 off the low on NVIDIA. Let's see what we can get out of this one, Adair.
Yeah, there's something so aesthetically pleasing about seeing all the beautiful beak wetters just in that diagonal line to the upside, so tightly arranged. Congratulations on that trade. That's beautiful. Okay. And what I love too is like it's just so like it shows like the good planning really comes off because you have to have all the little beak wetters planned.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the ducks just come to the water as they need to. Really nice look on that trade. I also have to say I'm really happy with this meta trade. I'm going to be honest. I was feeling a little bit down on my trading and a little bit earlier today just because I was like, that the Eli Lilly situation was a bit messy. This meta, as I said, I definitely did not heed Neil's wise advice to get it on the back end because I got it kind of in the middle area. It was just kind of, and I got out weirdly when it was going up. Anywho, I got in here because I did like this consolidation at 372.80 area. I got in right there. Accidentally took out half the position for a couple penny win, but then I took the rest out exactly where I wanted to at this crest at that 373.55. So it was a cool 75 paper cents here. Very happy. And I think just like an example of what I'm just trying to get more discipline in my trades.
Good for you.
This was an thank you so much. And I just, I'm just trying to talk it through just to basically explain like, having a plan and trying to kind of wait for the plan to pay off. If we get back into this area, if we make another higher low, I'm going to take profit out for that next crest here at that 374. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. Don't always want to cover just as it starts to work. Yeah, I think that's I appreciate that as well. Thank you. I think too, like part of it is like as I get comfortable too, I just kind of like scalping at these levels that
at least he's being nice
working.
to one of us.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I know.
That's true. Like
he did actually make a good point right now. He's like, he's nice to me, but he's just not nice to the Cowboys. But he always trolls me on behalf of the Cowboys, so I feel attacked. Personally attacked.
I feel very attacked.
No, I'm kidding, of course. Nah, we're always joking around.
Well, we always have a good time over
Yesterday,
here.
he messaged me right away, too. As soon as it came on the wire that Mike McCarthy was going to keep his job, I got the message right away, and he's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, I don't think Mike McCarthy should be keeping his job. That's the Cowboys coach.
I figured based on context that it would have to be, no offense. But
he was at gymnastics. His daughter was at gymnastics. Yeah, figures. I always get all the Cowboys notifications on the Score app. So as soon as that came through, I had it. So I figured, you knew about that as well. No, I think heads should roll. Sorry to say that, but heads got to roll when you have that kind of a season, like straight up.
Yeah, like isn't the point like you want like a coach that's going to lead the team successfully, right?
And you want to hear something? You know what the Katina man said to me? He's like, we lost several Super Bowls because that guy, because he used to be the Green Bay coach. Then he took a bit of a hiatus.
Oh, so Sean also has beef with this guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sean doesn't like him. And then he took a hiatus, learned all the new analytics, because football became very analytics-based, all data-based, right?
Okay.
And he didn't have an understanding of that. So he locked himself in his basement for a year, learned all the data analytics part of football, and then kind of rejoined the coaching guild, I don't know, and then found his way to Dallas somehow.
So messy.
Look at NVIDIA go here, baby. We are pumping up through 566 possibly. Now we have a beak wetter at that whole dollar area. We didn't get the fill because it didn't cross, but NVIDIA awfully strong off that bottom, 561.07 low. There it goes. We have 3 outs left on NVDA as it pumps up big through that 567 area. Guys, look for resistance. If we continue to ascend here on NVDA, look for resistance at 569. I got to tell you why. Look at all these flat bottoms here and then the eventual break at that 569 level. So if we continue to pump, look for resistance at 569 Adara.
That's a really good look on that chart. Congratulations. I was just saying too that 569 consolidation was interesting. I was just looking at that. Yeah, felicitation, beautiful trade. Also, I have to shout out John19 in the chat.
Go for it.
Goat emoji. We know what that's referencing, and this stock is killing it. Congratulations to you, John19.
Guys, what happened to the audio on Dada? We can't hear Brendan saying Dada. We can't hear it. No.
Anyways, yeah, I think
There we go. I like now we can hear it. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean like to be serious, this Dada is a really nice look. I think a higher high would be key here because it might be another NVCR with like this kind of flat top situation, but this 183 break would be really compelling. Congratulations to you, John19, and thank you for bringing this shout out with a fun little reference, all with that goat emoji. We know what you're doing, and congrats on your fabulous trade. What a nice look here on Dada. Had a bit of a roundy face to the upside over here by the roundy face. Always, I think, yeah, very interesting look. Nima Amati saying Tesla broke the 210. Can it fly? I was looking at this as well. Pamp it. I'm literally trying to. Well, because when you were sick, thank you. When you were sick, people were like, "Oh, Adara has to do the pamp it." And I was like, I don't know how. But this Tesla, I think, you know what's interesting. It's not just that it's a 210 break, although that is also fascinating. But I really like that if we break above this kind of consolidative area, because look how for such a long time we consolidated above that 210, right? For me, I'm honestly not really going to be interested until I see a decisive break above that 211. Why? Because that will be an actual break out of that channel. We were in that channel for 12:10 to 12, like basically an hour, honestly. So I think like because we were in that area for so long, there might be a lot of that consolidation might be significant, and I think breaking above it will be of interest. Slab Paradise saying Tesla will fly as far as the Eagles did in the playoffs. I'm going to guess the Eagles didn't do very well in the playoffs. Maybe that's what you're getting at. But we're going to have to see. Like I said, I think Tesla could be interesting if we break above that 211. If we don't, I might take this short again back to this 209 because it looks kind of roundy face, but I don't think this is enough of a grin to really bring Tesla to the upside, I have to say. But yeah, to answer your question, Nima, I would say I'm more interested in seeing it fly past that 211. Then, of course, the next area is going to be previous resistance with 212. Much like Sharif's very apt charting of NVIDIA, just look for previous resistance, right? I think with Tesla, there's a lot more of it than NVIDIA because if we're going to compare these charts, NVIDIA, when it broke down, it just kind of crumbled. Do you know what I mean? So really the only next resistance you do have is that 569. Tesla had a nice slow, like little cookie crumble to the downside, right? So there's more pieces to keep an eye on along the way of potential resistance. Also, congratulations to Meta making a major move to the upside, breaking that 374. Can it go above VWAP? I feel like a sports announcer, but Meta's a really nice look. And yeah, I mean, I do have to say, I really appreciate what Neil said about this Meta trade. Like, you know, don't get rid of a winner just when it's working, and that's something I really need to work on. Like and that's also, I'm kind of sad I got rid of part of the trade, because had I kept part of the rest of this, I would have gotten the rest out around this 374, right? So part of that is the fat finger element of it all. But yeah, I really do appreciate, I mean, everyone in the chat and on the floor here always having insight and hopefully learning from this trade for myself here. But yeah, I think Meta 374 break to the upside is definitely a really good look, and it's in confluence with VWAP. I think that goes back to as well. Yeah, I love how you're on that button. I like what Opie said too. Just because a level is there doesn't mean, like, just because you cross a level doesn't mean that's important. You need other things in advance. So I think if Meta breaks above, you know, that level, that's not going to automatically make it interesting, but I think it will keep, you'll have your eye on it. You know what I mean? You'll look for other elements that are in play. So I think that's really important. I think that's something to note there for sure. Also, people say my picture is talking. Look at that. Apparently.
It's just flickering.
I didn't realize.
You're not actually, it's not a GIF or an
It's funny
animation.
because people think I'm talking. Yeah. I get a kick out of that. But yeah, so exciting times. But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, Meta's a really interesting look. Definitely the story for all of these Mag 7s, except for maybe Tesla, is they're all trying to be the comeback kids over here. And you're still in video.
Still,
I love
of course. I am out of NVCR as it broke down below 15, and that's the end of that trade. It'll be a profitable trade, but we do give some back because we held it for a smidge there below 15 as we were distracted with the NVDA trade. Yeah, so that one breaks down. Next beak wetter is at 567.69. On NVIDIA. Let's see if we can, number one, hold 567. Number two, can we continue to pump back up into 569? This is where I anticipate us actually having a real wall of resistance. Look how many touches we had at 569, or the 569 area on NVDA from basically from 12 o'clock till the breakdown at 1 o'clock. So we had an hour of touches at 569, all of which bounced. So I'm looking for 4 more area of support to act as resistance if we were to make it up. But obviously, we got to get through 568 first. The future, let's look at the future because it probably has something to do with this NVIDIA trade. 16,950 general area held, 50 point held. We are above 17,000. We just wicked Adara off VWAP. So right now we haven't cleared VWAP with any vigor, but we did clear 17,000. We did hold 1650. We stayed positive on the day. We're well positive. To go negative, we got to break down below 16,875. But to really pump up here and touch high days, we got to get into 16.1. So well off that level right now. On the future. Let's see what AAPL is doing. AAPL might be involved or responsible, I should say, not involved, for this market bounce in NVIDIA because the V-shaped recovery by Softy, let's be real. Most of these guys are participating in this recovery. NVIDIA's participating, Apple's participating, Microsoft, as well as Meta, Amazon, obviously not Tesla, Google as well. You know, not much of a move on Google off there, but yeah, Google's definitely not the moviest of the names.
The moviest, I like that.
Right, we're trying to hold 567 right now on NVIDIA, and we're not really breaking up with the same vigor that we did earlier, but we're going to try to pack our patience a little bit here and see what we get on this this trade. Nima. Sharif, Adara, I'm really late with my entries. I'm always late to rallies and sell-offs because I like to wait for confirmation. Do you guys have any advice for me? That's a great question, my friend. And that's, you know, a question as old as time in the trading business. I mean, how long do you hold for, both for your profits and as your stop loss? Look, the only thing that I can really say is to avoid the issue that you're having with yourself, set hard stop losses and hard profit takers. So when they hit those levels, you don't have a choice of whether to take the fill or not, to get out or to wet your beak on some profits. The order is going to do it for you. What I would say though is in the case of profit takers, leave a piece for the dream. So if you get in 100 shares, you get 10 out each little increment pop up. Save those 10 shares, save that piece for the dream. Maybe it runs a few bucks more, and then you end up getting triple what you would have got on those last 10 shares had you taken it out there or let yourself stop out. So maybe use some resting orders for both stop losses and profit takers to kind of get around the psychology of holding for too long or too little. So I hope that helps, Nima. And my friend, you are not the only one that thinks about this or has issue with this. This is a trader's problem. I'm pretty sure it's. Go for it, Katina.
All right, I think that's an absolutely fantastic question. So I just come over to my screen, and I just think you got to, Sharif explained it, it's perfect. I just think you can also start your trade that way. So not only just like set your levels and forget it, but like look at this on Roblox. It didn't get going. Like I wanted to wait. This is scalping, right? So if you guys are doing it in your portfolio, it's a little bit different. But look at Roblox here. So I knew I wanted this, but I knew I wanted more up here. So I just started the trade early, and you maybe start it for like, like Sharif was saying, 20 to 25% or so of your trade. And then as it gets into your levels, that's when you can start to add more shares. So sometimes it works great, and then sometimes like that, Phil, will, and then it will just start to cascade down. You're like, oh man, I don't have all of my shares, but that's what it's about. So I think you can also layer in to the trade, and then of course hold on for the dream. I have a couple new positions. It's kind of like what we did in Shopify as well. You start, and then eventually it gets up to VWAP, and then that's when you short it. We're still in this short. We also just shorted Square as well right now, so that's a brand new position for us. We're $1 in the money here. That's AMD. That's a firm, so we're still in the money on that one. And again, the same thing, right? Look at this. We start the trade there, and then we take the bigger shares once it comes up to VWAP. So that's just a little bit of advice right there. And yeah, hopefully you guys were ready to, yeah, okay, good. We'll wrap it up here and pass it back over to those guys, and then we'll come back here at 2 o'clock.
We definitely appreciate that, Mr. Katina, because that's like a question for me that I've struggled with myself. I don't know how Adair feels about that, but it's always, you know, that dichotomy. Do I hold? Do I sell? Do I hold? Do I sell? And I guess, you know, obviously employing some strategies there helps get around that. So we'll have to wait and see. Guys, while the Katina man was dropping some wisdom, we got a beak wetter there at 567.69. Nice. In front of that 568 level, I'm still gunning for 569 as the ultimate profit-taking level. Again, I don't want to belabor this point, but this is the consolidative bottom. Before the breakdown on NVIDIA, this big V-shaped recovery, that was kind of the sideways price action. That was the bottom end of that range. So I'm anticipating there to be quite a bit of resistance into 569. I didn't anticipate that we would reject off 568 quite yet, but I'm getting the ascent is not done. We're still above 567. So we're going to keep a careful eye on NVDA and see what we can bamboozle out of this trade. Who is this guy? Asks Mr. Weed. It's a Katina man, my friend. Just, you know, the original host on this show with the Neil and the Brendo. So yeah, if you've been watching this for a while, you know exactly who he is. Let's see some tips here from people in the chat, because I think they were all responding.
There's some really good tips.
They are. Yeah. So I want to read them out. Dave Pagden. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Dave. If I did, I apologize. He goes, as far as entries go, you have to anticipate the move. Otherwise, you're getting in when everyone else is getting out. Thank you, Dave. SPY only. For me, I wait until a bottom wick, and I use the second candle as confirmation for entry. I've heard that before. Fantastic advice. Thank you. Big Dan Emmons says, back to opening range. How many times have I said in the past 6 months? He's talking about the future. We are at the IB area there. Thanks, Dan. Let's see what else people were saying there. I think, was there any advice above that that I missed?
I saw one below.
Go for it.
If you don't mind, from Derek
Absolutely.
S. When you scale into a position, be careful of share size. If you're scaling in without having a stop in mind, then you may be setting yourself up for a huge loss.
Oh, couldn't agree
That's a
more.
really good point. And I like the way that you put that. I think it's really clear. I think also, if I might like give, I know I'm very new, but I think one thing I found really helpful, and this is one thing I picked up from Sharif as well. We're talking about the shimmy wick dance, right? I think one thing for me with
Remember tried to get us there.
we went from
that
singing,
was a Chilean nightmare, actually. Yeah.
We went from singing to dancing. You know,
Yes,
we do
I
it
know,
all.
right?
We're triple threats.
We are.
But so Meta, like for example, for this Meta entry though, and with all shimmy wig dancing aside, why I liked this was, you know, and this is the thing I picked up from Sharif a lot as well, but I hear, you know, other people talk about it too. We have these failed, these sell wicks. I see these big wicks with these green candles. I see we have buyer interest, A, and B, the buyers are overwhelming the sellers. So part of this made me nervous. I was like, you know, we could have a sellout from this point, because we do, you know, we clearly do see that We do have some sellers overwhelming buyers here, but I'm like, you know what? Like I see this bottom, and I also see, look, and it's not just that though. I see confluence with this level from earlier.
Okay.
I see that we also had earlier, we popped up from that 372.80, right? So it's seeing these two factors together. Again, what Sharif said, the balance of the evidence. And so for me, a huge part of that evidence is also past key levels and like these wicks. And also too, with this this 372.80 level in Meta, the longer we consolidate for, the more potential I think there is for a push. Meta, we were dancing around that level and holding it really well for a good 30 minutes. So that's why I decided to get in. Also, I would like to briefly address, oh, what was that?
No. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was happening. I was like down. Yeah, I had this little teeny tiny Tesla short that I'm pretty proud of. You know, too bad it was scalp day yesterday, but it's scalp season for me all the time. I got involved in this 210 short, took it to 209.80 because it happened to be that 9 EMA level, but also just because I was watching the book and I was like, that's the point we can kind of get to. Also, the reason I entered at 210, even though it was risky, because that was kind of a key area for Tesla, is because, you know, Obi was asking me, he's like, what do you look for when you enter a Tesla on the book? Because he said, I sit next to Max, so I see Tesla book a lot, and I noticed it moves pretty wild, right? And I said, like, I agree, and I think part of what I look for with Tesla for a point of entry is I like to see where is the book stagnant? Where do we slow down? We had a lot of nice slowing down on Tesla at 210, and that's how I got involved in that short. Very happy I did, and I have to say, you know, pretty proud that I didn't wait it out for the dream. And I know there are certainly times that, and I appreciate Neil saying as well, like you don't want to give up a position too early.
Yep.
I think with this Tesla position, though, I really did think it only had the momentum for 20 cents, so I planned it accordingly. And so I think really, it depends on your mindset, and it really depends on the trade as well. And I always grateful for everybody's different perspectives and how they trade, because that's how you come up with your own style.
I mean, I was trading for exactly 2 years before I came here. And the amount of learning that I've done since being here in 1 year versus what I did on my own in 2 years is just not even close. So being around people, and it's a whole different story being on a trading floor. Adam DeLuce with some hot lines. I want to read this. Look for levels. Stick to your strategy that you know that works and have strong risk management. It's about being patient. The market does not hand opportunities every minute. Wise words, Adam. Shout out to you, Arsenal fan extraordinaire. Adam, how do you feel about the Dubai trip? Do you think they come back rested R&R? And what are your thoughts about the January transfer window? Nothing from Arsenal yet, man. We've been hearing about signings, plenty of signings for Tottenham, plenty of signings from some other clubs. I still haven't heard anything for Arsenal. Karim Benzema apparently is on the radar for Arsenal to come back from Saudi. A lot of people are upset going to Saudi. Look, living in Europe is not like living in Saudi, and these guys should have known that going there. Jordan Henderson already left Saudi. He's at Ajax now in, I believe it's in the Netherlands. So there's people moving back. He goes, I hope so, need a striker. Couldn't agree more. I really hope Arsenal starts spending a little bit here, but not to the detriment of the team balance, because that is also a tough one right there. So we'll see what Arsenal does. Could have fooled me, Sharif. You seem like a lifelong Wall Street guy, for reals. No, I'm not. I'm a lawyer by profession, never touched anything to do with trading while I was practicing. And then, here we are after the pandemic, baby. So let's see. He's going to Chelsea, says Roger. That sucks. I don't want Kareem to go to Chelsea because I don't have to boo him.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cheer for Chelsea. It's a derby. It's a West London rival. Well, they're a London rival. They're in West London. All right, guys, let's talk. We're still gonna hold this Nvidia trade. I'm really anticipating maybe a 569 move. If not, then we'll have to wait and see. AAPL as well. Bit of a V-shaped retracement above 188, but not coming into that 189 level quite yet that we almost got to this morning. Yeah, it was this morning. It was around 11:25. We got to that 18896 level. So we were awfully close into that 189. Apple almost 3% to the good, well over 3% at the highs on the back of that Bank of America upgrade. As Adara mentioned multiple times, it is Apple's first analyst upgrade of the year, and we are 18 years deep into that year, and not a moment too soon, because I was disappointed in the amount that I gave back on the swing on Apple. By the way, guys, I should have mentioned that I got out of Li Auto last week. Yeah, the Li Auto trade is done. We took a little bit of a loss on that one, about $1.25, not $1.50 a share, if I'm being honest. And we're gonna have to let Li Auto go. It's, you know, at the end of the day, I can feel how I feel about it, and I continue to feel it's a good company. But the fact of the matter is, the price action is not there, and you got to call a spade a spade. I was wrong on it for now. Let's see what happens in the future on Li Auto. So we take 2 L's on the 4 swings, $1.25 loss on UNG, $1.50 loss on Lee, but we're well in the money. I'm not going to tell you how much we're in the money. We're way higher in the money on Caterpillar and on Apple, but I'd rather tell you my losses than my winners so I don't jinx it. Right? All right, here we go. Back to NVIDIA at 568, guys. Let's see if we can break through that 568. I'm going to sit at 567.98 because what is life without whimsy?
Yeah. Literally, what is it? Really, what is it? I think, right? And I think that phrase is so great because I think in a world where, like, you know, you have to be dead and emotional to be successful because trading doesn't care about your feelings, we need a little bit of whimsy. So I appreciate that. I have to say, on the real, I really do appreciate that.
Okay.
Also, Meta is knocking on the door. I had to. VWAP once again. Thanks for that sound effect. But knocking on the door of VWAP once again. This just above 374 area. We'll have to see what it does here, but I think either way, really nice recovery. Also kind of similar looking to the NQ with that move up, that dip below, and that push back to VWAP. Because when I saw the NQ chart, I was like, this kind of looks like Meta. Because I've been paying some attention to Meta just as Ghosh earlier today. So I think this is kind of certainly an interesting look. There's been a lot of trades too on the horizon. I want to pay one more look at Hut 8. Pay my respects, RIP Hut 8. I kept wanting to look at this as a short, but I was like, there's no way it can go any lower. It's down 25% on the day. And that is after that short report with the beautiful name that I was reading out the title of earlier, which was, the start of it was basically the coming Hut pump and dump. I think they basically just made this dump happen. I don't even know if we have to pump and dump now after that. But yeah, Hut 8 very much still on the horizon. But now it is 2 p.m. Time is up. And we will see you, though, tomorrow for the last day of this week of Founder Trade. Same bad time, same bad channel. But for now, Brendan is, in fact, at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome back in 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon as we get into the final couple hours.